Chapter 611. The moment the 12 laser guns hit the lustful demon's body, the lustful demon's divine sense escaped, leaving behind only its skin. It was riddled with holes by the laser guns. However, the enslavement technique that Guopao used on Jiate Lin had disappeared. Jiate Lin was completely awake. Its eyes were fixed on little Ling Mo, who was not far away. Guopai had already used his flying daggers to deal with more than 8,000 half-demons. Guopai could already hear the sounds of fighting outside. However, this was a critical moment, and Guopai could not afford to be distracted. Mao, go out and take a look. If anyone dares to bully Ling Mo, take this staff and smash them into pieces. Guopao released the little monkey that he had brought out from the dream demon's spiritual consciousness dreamscape. Then, he threw the pirated Rui Jingu Bang that he had obtained from the Yuan Sage of the Nine Heavens to the little monkey. The little monkey did not stand on ceremony and rushed out with a whoosh. Guopai brought the little monkey out from the dream realm of the dream demon's divine sense. Because the little monkey had the life-saving monkey fur of the great sage, Guopai was also willing to use elixirs to directly push the little monkey from the Hotian realm to the fasting realm. With the pirated Jingu Bang in his hand, even an average Golden Core realm expert would not be a match for Mao. Transform into a human before going out. Guopai looked at the Jingu Bang in Mao's hand and felt that something was wrong. Later, he realized that Mao was still in a monkey's body and could not help but shout out. Mao turned around and transformed into a human. Stinky girl, you and Guopai actually dared to scheme against me. Good, very good. Today, I will use your lives to wash away my shame. Gatling said as he rushed towards Ling Mo with a long sword in his hand. You're the ugly one who wanted to bully Sister Ling Mo, right? Eat my staff. Mao rushed out from the door and swung his staff at Gatling. A puny fasting realm fellow dares to attack me? Die. Gatling met Mao's Jingu Bang with his sword. Bang! With a loud sound, the long sword in Gatling's hand directly turned into powder. Gatling's eyes widened. This kid was only at the fasting realm, but he was actually able to shatter the long sword in his hand with a single stick. The thing in this youth's hand was definitely not ordinary. Sister Ling Mo, my name is Mao. Bad Boss asked me to come and save you. I'm not late, am I? Mao looked at little Ling Mo, who was in a sorry state, and asked with a smile. It's okay, it's okay. Be careful. This Jiate Lin is already an expert in the Golden Core stage. He's not easy to deal with. Little Ling Ma stuck out his tongue and said softly, when did Big Bro Bad Guy accept another underling? Little Ling Ma was also at a loss. I don't care if he's in the Golden Core realm or not. Bad Boss said that if anyone dares to bully you, I'll smash them to smithereens. As Mao spoke, he and his staff charged forward again. Shoot! Hurry up and shoot! Kill this kid for me! Gatling roared, and several laser guns were aimed at Mao. Little guy, hurry up and come back. Little Lingma naturally heard Gatling's words and shouted. At this time, Guopai, who was in the building, had already purified more than 10,000 half-demons. There were less than 10 jars left in the building. At this time, Guopai suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. Without caring about the remaining jars, he flew out. Little Lingma saw the 12 laser guns in the air aimed at Mao. She directly flew towards Mao and blocked his path. Guopai had also rushed out of the door, but it was all too late. The 12 laser guns had already fired. Although they did not hit Mao, 3 laser beams hit Little Lingma. No! Guopai roared. He had already rushed in front of Little Lingma. The flying swords in his hand directly shattered the 12 laser guns in the air. Little girl, don't say anything. Take this elixir. You won't die. I won't let you die. Guopai directly stuffed a 9 transformation golden pill into Little Lingma's mouth. Because he was hit by the laser gun, Little Lingma's body was already lifeless. After taking the 9 transformation golden pill, the places where he was hit by the laser gun began to heal. However, his breathing was still weak. Boss, I didn't protect Sister Lingma well, Mao said softly with guilt. Go kill that guy. Don't hold back. Guopai said loudly. Mao's eyes were red as he rushed towards Gatling with his staff. Because little Ling Mao was injured, Mao, who was originally in the fasting realm, transformed into a monkey the moment he rushed over. His strength actually directly broke through the fasting realm. A hollow core formed in his body, and he directly entered the core formation realm. Go to hell. It's you. It's because of you that Sister Ling Mao was injured. Mao shouted loudly. The Jingu bang in his hand smashed towards Gatling as if it was free. Although Gatling's realm was one level higher than Mao's, with the pirated Jingu bang in his hand, Gatling could only breathe out, not breathe in just a moment. Go to hell, go to hell. Mao's last strike landed firmly on Gatling's head. A red-robed bishop of the Angel Council in the Golden Core realm like this was smashed by Mao's staff into his stomach. He couldn't be more dead. Elder Shui, what's with that expression? What's the matter? Elder Shui, Yuer, and Little Meng Meng had just rushed back to Bugyaku. They hadn't even warmed up their seats when Shui Yunzi frowned. Yuer couldn't help but ask. Something happened. Something happened to the little girl. Shui Yunzi said softly. Which little girl? Yuer was stunned for a moment before she reacted. It can't be. With Guopai around, how could something happen? A few days ago, I divined that the little girl would encounter a calamity. I placed the water element heart on her. Just now, I sensed through the water element heart that the little girl's breath was weak. She was seriously injured, Shui Yunzi said softly. Yuer frowned and closed her eyes to perform a divination. Little Ling Mo's divination was very bad. Elder Shui, what do we do now? Yuer asked softly. Wait for Guopai to come back. As long as he's not dead, there's always a way. Even if he's dead, I'd like to see which idiot in the underworld dares to capture my disciple's soul, Shui Yunzi said through gritted teeth. Shui Yunzi gritted his teeth and said, Yuer nodded lightly. With Guopao around, little Ling Mo shouldn't have any major problems. Guopai watched as Gatling was smashed to death by Mao. He carefully put little Ling Mo back into the gourd. He wasn't dead, but the laser gun had caused great damage to little Ling Mo. Although it didn't hit any vital parts, it had almost taken little Ling Mo's life. Angel Council, Great Devil Dojo, you've hurt little Ling Mo. Today, I'll take your dojo as compensation. Guopai said as his aura surged. Mao was also put back into the gourd by Guopai. There's a total of 438 people in this base. Let's bury them together. Guopao roared loudly. Starting from Guopao's feet, the ground of the base began to crack little by little. The building collapsed with a loud bang. Except for the place where Guopao had placed the array formation on the demon origin stones, all the other places had cracked. Magic stones? Who does it belong to? Sink to the bottom of the sea. You want to break the formation? Don't even think about it. Guopai roared. In just 3 to 4 minutes, an island in the Pacific Ocean disappeared without a trace. Gatling is in trouble. That lord's base is also in trouble. Chapter 6:12. In an extremely secluded place in the Rocky Mountains of the United States, a man in red said nervously to an old man, Gatling is a cardinal like you. His strength is not below yours. There are not many people in the world who can defeat him. Who did it? Go and find out. After the man in black finished speaking, the old man in red quickly ran out. One was a cardinal of the Angel Council, and the other was a cardinal of the Angel Council. Something that could make these two people nervous was a big deal for the Angel Council. After destroying the entire training hall, Guopai flew into the air without looking back. He quickly flew in the direction of the imperial capital, Bugyaku. Little Ling Mo's injuries were not light. He needed to find a quiet place to treat him. The Angel Council is related to the Great Demon. I originally planned to deal with you guys in a few days. Now, there's no need to wait. Cherish your days of life. When Little Ling Mo's injuries are healed, I will uproot the Angel Council, Guopai said softly as he looked at the sunken island. Guopai's flying speed was extremely fast. In about 10 minutes, Guopai arrived above Bugyaku. He then waved his hand and set up a formation above Bugyaku. In order to save little Ling Mo as soon as possible, Guopai did not retract his aura. On the way from the Pacific Ocean to the imperial capital, many hidden experts were affected by Guopai's aura and woke up from their meditation. When did another expert at the peak of the golden elixir realm appear in Huaxia? How is this possible? It must be an illusion. Some independent cultivators gathered on some islands in the Pacific Ocean and said one sentence at a time. Little bad, where's the little girl? Did something happen? Shui Yunzi was the first to sense Guopai's aura. When Guopai appeared in Bugyaku, he asked loudly, Elder Water, let's talk inside. Guopai said softly, come here quickly. Guopai entered the room and immediately set up an array formation. Only then did he lift little Ling Mo out of the old lord's gourd. At this moment, little Ling Mo was no longer breathing and had no heartbeat. If not for the fact that his spiritual sense had yet to dissipate, he would have already died. Who injured the little girl so badly? I can't tell what caused this wound. Shui Yunzi asked with a gloomy face. Lord Water, it's this thing. With that, Guopai handed a laser gun to Shui Yunzi. Shui Yunzi put the gun on his body and didn't say much. First, he had to save Ling Mo, Grandpa Water. You're the one who put the water element heart in the little girl's body, right? Without it, even the 9 transformations golden pill wouldn't be able to protect the little girl's spiritual sense from dissipating. Guopai said softly as he carefully placed a spirit-concentrating pill on a ball of sparkling and translucent liquid. Bad guy big brother, how's little Ling Mo? Just as Guopai stabilized little Ling Mo's spiritual sense, Yu walked into the room. Set up the sky-stealing sun-swapping array first. Don't let the people from the underworld come. The little girl's body needs to be slowly nursed back to health. Guopai said softly. Yu nodded. After glancing at little Ling Mo, she began to set up an array around Bugyaku. Lord Water, is there any way? External injuries are easy to treat, but the laser gun has already injured the little girl's internal organs. It's not easy to treat. Guopai looked at little Ling Mo lying on the bed and asked softly. It's not easy. Her heart pulse has already stopped. It's easy to save the little girl, but it's a pity about her cultivation. Shui Yunzi said softly. Let's save the little girl first. Guopai said softly. Shui Yunzi nodded. It was then that Yu finished her work and walked in once more. The little girl's body has been reconstructed by so many medicinal pills. Bad guy big brother. If you want to make Ling Mo happy, an ordinary heart will be of no use. Instead, it will affect the little girl's life in the future, Yu said softly. Hearing that something had happened to the little girl, Ao Feng, Li Shixin, and Xiu Dayuan also gathered in Bugyaku's backyard. After examining little Ling Mo's injuries, they put forward several different opinions. Old Long, change to a dragon heart. You sure are daring. I know that you have the hearts of several experts from the Dragon Clan. They are at least at the Gold Immortal stage. If such hearts are placed on little Ling Mo's body, there are only 2 possibilities. First, little Ling Mo will completely fuse with the dragon heart. According to the agreement between the Heavenly Court and your Dragon Clan, the little girl will ascend on the spot, Li Shixin said softly. What's the other possibility? Guopai asked softly. The little girl's body won't be able to suppress the dragon heart. If her body is occupied by the dragon heart, whether she can survive or not is another matter. Even if she survives, the little girl will forget everything in her life, Li Shixin continued. Guopai shook his head gently. Little Ling Mo was only 16 years old. He didn't want the little girl's life to end like this. Bad boss, I have an idea, but I don't know if I should say it. Just as the group was in a dilemma, Mao, who had been staying in the corner, walked to Guopai's side and said softly, Little guy, what idea do you have? Tell us. Guopai asked. Everyone's eyes fell on this young man. To be precise, they were all looking at the stick in his hand. Use the life-saving monkey hair behind my head. This thing was left behind by the old ancestor. If we use it to save Big Sister Ling Mo, it will definitely be able to fuse perfectly with Big Sister Ling Mo, Mao said softly. After I turned into a human, I inherited some of the old ancestors' things. This monkey hair can be used. Cough, cough, cough. Little bad, Is this little guy the successor of the monkey in the sky? Ao Feng asked with wide eyes. Hearing the monkey hair, Li and Xiao also guessed what this little guy was talking about. Little guy, are you really willing to give up the monkey hair that the monkey passed down to you? Shui Yunzi asked softly. I can tell you that the 3 monkey hairs can not only save your life in a critical moment. The inheritance on the monkey hairs is the treasure of treasures. When you reach the golden core stage, with the inheritance of the 3 monkey hairs, it will be much easier for you to ascend. Big Sister Ling Mo was injured because of me. Everything has a cause and effect. If I can save Big Sister Ling Mo, not to mention the inheritance of the old ancestor, even if you want my life, Air Mao will accept it. While speaking, Air Mao reached out and plucked the 3 monkey hairs behind his head. The monkey hairs, which were originally no different from ordinary hairs, suddenly floated in Air Mao's palm and emitted traces of golden light. Heart transformation. The moment Air Mao plucked the monkey hairs, his eyes emitted a trace of light. He looked at the monkey hairs and said 2 words. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the 3 monkey hairs formed a heart shape and then transformed into a beating heart. Little bad, I'll leave the rest to you. Hurry up and put it on the little girl. With this heart of monkey hair, the other injuries on the little girl's body won't be a big deal. Shui Yunzi said with a smile. Guopai took the heart of monkey hair and asked the group of old guys to leave the room. He began to change the heart of little Ling Mo. The little girl has escaped this disaster. Her future is bright. Chapter 613. Get out of the way, let me in. How is Sister Lingma? Just as a group of powerful old guys were waiting outside the house, Futaba shouted from outside and walked in the direction of the house. Futaba, calm down. Little Lingma's matter has been solved. Don't disturb Guopai. He is busy. Li Shixin stopped Futaba and said softly, That's good. Next time I go out, let boss take me. Nothing will happen. Futaba said softly as he scratched his itch. He glanced and saw Air Mao, who was standing aside with a stick in his hand. Little guy, show me the stick. Futaba squinted his eyes and walked towards Air Mao step by step. He said with a smile, Who are you? Why are you in Bugyaku? I don't think you look familiar. Are you here to steal something for Bugyaku? The old guys were too lazy to explain to Futaba. They didn't think that the 2 monkeys would have any interaction. Let them communicate by themselves. No, the bad boss gave me the stick. Why should I give it to you? He said I look like a thief. I think you look like one. You can speak human language, but you don't transform. I don't know what you were thinking. Air Mao didn't dare to show weakness. Futaba was the same as him. They were both in the core formation stage. Air Mao was not afraid. You don't know what's good for you. You will only be obedient when I, Futaba, take action. Futaba said. His figure flashed and rushed towards Air Mao. In fact, he was not rushing towards Air Mao, but the stick in Air Mao's hand. If you want my Jingu Bang, you have to beat me first. Not to be outdone, Air Mao confronted Futaba. Little Ling Mo's matter had already made Air Mao a little irritated, and he just happened to want to vent his anger. He didn't expect Futaba to come knocking on his door. Futaba looked at the staff in Air Mao's hand and did not dare to be careless. His body moved and a long staff appeared in his hand. However, compared to Air Mao's pirated Jingu Bang, it was clear who was better. After 3 or 4 rounds, Futaba's staff had been deformed. Air Mao, on the other hand, was getting more and more aggressive. Damn it, who are you? If you have the guts, throw away your staff and let's fight one-on-one. Futaba could not help but shout when he saw that his weapon was no match for his opponent. Even if I don't use a stick, I can still beat you. As he spoke, Air Mao kept the Jingu Bang. Looking at the Jingu Bang that was getting smaller, Futaba's eyes turned red again. If you lose, this staff will be mine. Do you dare to bet? Futaba looked at the Jingu Bang, shrinking, and asked loudly. Only a fool would bet with you. If you can beat me, I can lend you this Jingu Bang for a few days. After Air Mao said that, he ignored everyone's expressions and transformed into his monkey form. Body to body, the monkey had the advantage over the human body. After that, the group of people did not care about how busy Guopai was in the room. They each found a spot and happily watched the two monkeys fight. I'll let you have a taste of my monkey fist. Futaba had inherited many of the six-eared macaque's martial skills, and he had learned a lot about the monkey fist. For a moment, he had the advantage. However, after 100 rounds, Futaba suddenly felt that the more he fought, the more tired he became. Mao also began to use the monkey fist to fight the monkey fist, and it seemed to be better at it. After their fists collided, both of them were forced to take a dozen steps back. Futaba swung his arms and asked Mao, "How do you know my ancestor's monkey fist?" "Oomph. You're not the only one with an ancestor. My monkey fist was inherited from my ancestor," Mao said, not showing any signs of weakness. After that, the two of them fought for another 30 rounds. Futaba was gasping for breath, and Mao had been ambushed by Futaba a few times. "No more fighting. It's just a broken staff. I'll ask boss for one later. But you have to tell me, who is your ancestor? Why is he so strong?" Futaba, seeing that he could not win, shook his head and asked loudly, "I know who you are. Since Bad Boss told me, I can also tell you who I am. Our two old ancestors are enemies. If I tell you, you won't be able to cause trouble for me anymore," Mao said with a smile. "Both of you are monkeys. Stop wasting time," Futaba said impatiently. "My ancestor is the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, who wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace. Haha, you are the descendant of six-eared macaque. Cough, cough. So, you are the descendant of the great sage. No wonder you can use the staff so well, and your monkey fist is so powerful. However, I will be following Bad Boss in the future. Let's forget about our past grudges. Let's separate matters," Futaba said with a smile. "Lend me your Jingu Bang." Mao was very generous. He tossed the Jingu Bang to Futaba. This time, he had tricked Futaba. Although the Jingu Bang in Mao's hand was a fake, the person who created this fake Jingu Bang had a relationship with Sun Wukong. A drop of Sun Wukong's blood essence was fused into the Jingu Bang. It was this drop of blood essence that allowed the descendant of Sun Wukong to wield it easily. Others would have a hard time using it. This was something that Guopai later discovered. Mao put away the Jingu Bang. Futaba felt the pressure of the Jingu Bang and shouted at Mao. Mao quickly put away the Jingu Bang and avoided a small disaster. "Cough, cough. I can't play with this staff of yours. When boss comes out, I will ask him for a magic treasure." Futaba shook his head. At this time, the door of the house opened. Guopai walked out, sweating. The few people quickly surrounded him. "How is it?" Shui Yunzi asked softly. "It is done. I have repaired all the meridians in her body. As for the effect, I will know when the little girl wakes up in 3 days." Guopai said softly, "Uncle Shui, I have fused your water elemental heart into little Ling Mo's body. It was meant for the little girl. Let be. I hope this monkey hair heart is an opportunity for the little girl," Shui Yunzi said with a smile. Shui Yunzi smiled and said, "Little rascal, shouldn't you tell us where you found Mao? Also, this is the first time we've seen a pirated Jingu Bang. You should have other good things on you, right?" Guopai didn't hide anything from them. Now that little Ling Mo's matter was settled, Guopai was relieved. He called them to the living room and set up the array formation again. Then, he took out a pile of magic treasures from Guopai's gourd. "Cough, cough, cough. Little Bad, we haven't seen each other for a few days. Where did so many things come from?" Li Shixin asked with a smile. "I heard from you, that you went to the 9 heavens purgatory. So you also found the 9 heavens treasure." Shui Yunzi knew more or less and couldn't help asking with his eyes wide open. "I did get these things from the 9 heavens great sage. However, they're not the 9 heavens treasure. You can choose a few." Chapter 614. After Guopai finished his last sentence, Li Shixin and Xiu Daoyuan rushed to the pile of magic treasures quickly. The other old guys didn't look like masters at all. After a while, the pile of magic treasures on the ground was turned into a mess. They each took their own magic treasures and walked out leisurely. "Little Bad, if you have any problems in the future, just tell me. If anyone dares to make trouble in Bugyaku, just leave it to us. We promise to do a good job for you. Ao Phone didn't forget to shout before walking out. Guopai couldn't help laughing. After dealing with Ling Mo's matter, Guopai's mood was much better. He picked up the magic treasures on the ground. He had enough magic treasures on him. These things should be distributed. The 5 demons had all appeared. If something was going to happen according to the tomes of Arcane, he had to be prepared now. Because Bugyaku had opened 500 medical centers in Huaxia, the number of people who came to Bugyaku for medical treatment was much less than before. The first few students of Bugyaku were now teachers in Bugyaku. They were seriously teaching the new students recruited from the Imperial Medical College. Boss, long time no see. I didn't see you coming in from the front. Did you fly in from the sky again? Chinjati looked at Guopai walking in and asked jokingly. They had been with Guopai for 6 years. They knew their boss very well. As long as they didn't commit any problems of principle, they could laugh and joke with Guopai. Emperor Jia, teach the newcomers well. I think you two are fated. Grasp it well. Guopai said with a smile. The little girl opposite Chun Jeti blushed. Chun Jeti also looked embarrassed. You guys go ahead. I'll go out for a walk. I'll come back to the medical center for dinner tonight. The new students don't leave today. Since you have chosen the medical center, let's have dinner together tonight. If you have any opinions about Bugyaku, you can tell me tonight. Guopai said with a smile. The new students looked at Guopai as if they were looking at their idol. After Guopai went out, he drove a Bugatti to Mount Tyrannosaurus. Guopai was still thinking about the Pacific-based dojo. The Angel Council was definitely related to the Great Demon. However, how many descendants of the Great Demon were there in the human world was a mystery to Guopai. In recent years, after fighting with several Great Demons, Guopai was no longer as relaxed as he was when he was just demoted to the lower realm. About half an hour later, Guopai drove to the 531 Army. The old commanders had retired to the second line. The new commanders also knew Guopai. When they saw Guopai drive to the 531 Army, they were very excited. As long as Guopai gave them a few pills, the 531 Army would have a few more soldier kings. The new commanders surrounded Guopai when they saw him. Little bad, I haven't been to the army for some time. Today, I'll have lunch at the 531 Army. There are a few good recruits in the 531 Army recently. You are the commander of the 531 Army. You should give some pointers to those recruits. A new commander said with a smile. Commander Chun, you're making things difficult for me. I've already told the Dragon King that I will go to the Tyrannosaurus group for lunch. Guopai said with a smile. I will call the Dragon King. I will ask my men to go to Mount Tyrannosaurus to pick up the Dragon King. You must eat at the 531 Army at noon. I have already told my men that you are the commander of the 531 Army. If my men don't eat at their own home, how do you want me to do my work after I just took office? Chen Yinzhou said with a smile. Guopai nodded and agreed to Chen Yinzhou's request. He walked towards a field. Little bad, look at the new recruits over there. They're not bad, right? Chen Yinzhou followed Guopai to the field and asked with a smile as he pointed at the recruits who were training. A group of new recruits who were in the middle of a duel saw their chief pointing at them and became even more motivated. One of the new recruits directly knocked down 3 old soldiers and looked towards Guopao. Not bad. This guy's quality is even better than Brother Yao's. If he can be trained well, he will definitely be a sharp knife. Guopai said with a smile. However, his gaze fell on a young man behind the big guy. Commander Chun, let's go and take a look together. Guopai did not say much and quickly walked towards the group of people who were competing. Zhang Yang, come here. Let me introduce you. Chen Yinzhou said loudly to the big guy just now. The big guy quickly ran in front of Guopai and Chen Yinzhou. Guopai, the commander of our 531 Army. Chen Yinzhou did not say much and only said Guopai's name. Zhang Yang's expression became hot. I know Commander Guo. Commander Guo is the master of Bugyaku in Wu Castle. My mother's illness was cured by Bugyaku. Back then, my mother told me to thank Commander Guo when I see him. Today, I finally see him. Zhang Yang said with a silly smile. Commander Guo, my name is Zhao Jin. I want to worship you as my master. The young man who Guopai had noticed just now saw Guopai walking towards him. He immediately got up and ran to Guopai's side and directly knelt on the ground. "We know each other. We have known each other for a long time, right?" Guopai asked softly and pulled up Zhao Jin, who was kneeling on the ground. "Master, you still remember me, don't you?" Zhao Jin said excitedly. Guopai waved his hand to Chen Yinzhou and handed a jade bottle to Chen Yinzhou. He then pulled Zhao Jin into the car. Chen Yinzhou got the jade bottle and naturally did not get involved in the matter between Zhao Jin and Guopai. It seemed that they knew each other. Now, Chen Yinzhou was thinking about how to distribute the pills in front of him and how to improve the strength of the 531 army. "You have been carrying the jade pendant I gave you that day," Guopai asked softly. "I have kept it. When Master ascended to the heaven realm, the sect was in chaos. Eldest senior brother forced me to leave. 400 years later, I failed to ascend, but in the end, I left a trace of my soul in the jade pendant you gave me. After another 400 years, I rebuilt my body. 200 years ago, I met the people of the devil race in Huaxia, and my body was destroyed. It was not until 3 years ago that I found this body. I did not expect to meet Master here." Zhao Jin said excitedly. Guopai was banished to the lower realm, but one thing would not change. That was the soul of Chun Qingyuan. He gave his little disciple a piece of his life soul jade. As long as he did not die, if the two met again in the future, the life soul jade would light up. This was also the reason why Zhao Jin could recognize Guopai at a glance. "Back then, Daiyuan always thought that I was biased towards you. Before I ascended, I had already calculated that if I ascended to the heaven realm, the sect would be in chaos. I did not expect it to become chaotic so quickly." Guopai said softly, "You met the great devil 200 years ago. Tell me about the situation at that time and the things that happened in the past 1,000 years. It is also a kind of fate that we master and disciple can meet again." Zhao Jin nodded. Guopai set up an array around the car. The master and disciple who had not seen each other for 1,000 years began to chat. Chapter 615. Although Chen Yinzhou didn't know the origins of the 531's recruit, Zhao Jin, he could tell that Guopai's relationship with him wasn't ordinary. Chen Yinzhou didn't ask too much and immediately had the 531's group set up a defense 300 meters away from Guopai and Zhao Jin's car. "Master, I remember that you had already ascended to the heavenly realm that day. Why are you in the human world now? If the jade pendant you gave me that day did not light up again, I would not dare to believe that you have returned to the human world again," Zhao Jin said excitedly. "It's a long story, but it's good to be in the human world. Life is much better than in the heavenly realm. If I had known that life in the heavenly court would be like this, I would not have chosen to ascend to the heavenly realm." Guopai said with a smile, "You are now called Zhao Jin. You are Zhao Jin. In fact, life in the human world is not bad. Just follow me in the future. If you want to ascend to the heavenly realm, Master will help you." "As long as I can follow Master, I will do anything," Zhao Jin said softly. "However, it is not easy to live comfortably in the human world. 300 years ago, I found traces of the demon race in the human world. In the past 100 years, the development of the demon race has made me even more afraid." "Have you seen the demon race?" Guopai asked softly. "I have seen the demon race in the past few years, but it is not to the point of making people feel afraid. Master, I have been in the human world longer than you. Do you know how many demon race clansmen there are in the human world now?" Zhao Jin asked softly. Guopai shook his head gently. He really could not answer Zhao Jin's question. This was also something that Guopai had always known. He had fought with many great demons, but what was the situation of the demon race in the human world now? Other than the Angel Council, which was definitely related to the great demons, Guopai knew nothing else. "Disciple, tell me about the demon race that you have explored in the past few hundred years. It seems that we were not able to participate in the first war between humans and demons. This time, we will be pulled in no matter what," Guopai said with a smile. "Over 100 million demon soldiers." Zhao Jin nodded slightly and said only 4 words. These four simple words made Guopai widen his eyes. More than 100 million demonic soldiers? Impossible. How is that possible? If the human realm had 100 million demonic soldiers, they would have attacked the human realm long ago. Why would they wait until today? Guopai could not help but ask. I don't know why it's like this, but the number of demonic soldiers in the human world has definitely reached a shocking level. Zhao Jin said softly, 200 years ago, when I reconstructed my body, I found traces of the demon race in a base in the Pacific Ocean. Just that base alone had 1 million demon soldiers. The demon race has an earth-shattering conspiracy. They definitely have an earth-shattering conspiracy, Guopai said softly. Things are getting serious. It seemed like the peaceful days of the human world were numbered. Guopai and Zhao Jin chatted for more than an hour. The two walked out of the car together. Chen Yinzhou was in a very good mood. Guopai had given him 8 pills in the jade bottle. The 531 army had 8 more soldier elites. For a military region, this was definitely a great thing. Commander Chun, Zhao Jin has acknowledged me as his teacher. I want to take him away. Guopai saw Chen Yinzhou coming over. He did not stand on ceremony with Chen Yinzhou and directly said with a smile, "No problem. It is little Zhao's fortune to be able to follow you." Chen Yinzhou said with a smile, "I will inform the military registry in a while. Little Zhao's military registry will be retained. If little Zhao wants to come back, he can come back. During this period, little Zhao will receive the normal benefits of the military region." Guopai nodded with a smile. After hearing Zhao Jin's words, Guopai no longer had the mood to eat. But since he had promised Chen Yinzhou, the people of the tyrannical dragon group would also come over in a while. Guopai did not leave. If the matter of the demon race was really as Zhao Jin said, then even if he dared to go to the Pacific Ocean to look for the demon race's base, it would be useless. After staying in the 531 army for almost half an hour, Xiao Wudi came down from the tyrannical dragon mountain with Xing Tian and the others. After saying a few words to Chen Yinzhou, the group of people had lunch in the 531 army. "Little Bad, I haven't seen you for a while. Let's go to the tyrannical dragon group later." The tyrannical dragon group has recently accepted a few good children. Take a look. Xiao Wudi was much more relaxed when talking to Guopai compared to Chen Yinzhou. Not to mention other things, just based on the relationship between Xia Fian and Guopai, Guopai had to give Xiao Wudi face. After lunch, let's go to the tyrannical dragon group. I want to see if those guys are slacking off. According to the plan, I don't think the tyrannical dragon group has enlightened Wu Xiao. These guys should at least be in the fasting realm, Guopai said with a smile. Xiao Wudi nodded beside him. Chen Yinzhou's eyes widened completely. Fasting realm. The entire tyrannical dragon group was in the fasting realm. What a terrifying existence. Back then, Xiao Wudi was one of the few fasting realm experts in the Huaxiao military. Just Xiao Wudi alone was enough to make the Japanese not dare to take half a step forward. Now, the entire tyrannical dragon group was actually fasting realm experts. Terrifying, too terrifying. There are a few children who have been stuck at the peak of the fasting realm for a long time. I hope you can go over and give them a few pointers and help them break through the fasting realm, Xiao Wudi said bluntly. Okay, I'll go back with you in a while, Guopai said with a smile. Guopai, Xiao Wudi, and the others had a very pleasant lunch. Chen Yinzhou, who had originally obtained 8 medicinal pills, was not happy. Little Bad, you are the division commander of our 531 army. I know that the 531 army can't be compared to the tyrannical dragon group, but you can't be too biased. Can you spare some time to give our 531 army some pointers? I don't ask for the entire army to be Wuxiao. In any case, you should at least train a few soldier kings in the fasting realm for us, Chen Yinzhou said with a thick-skinned smile. What 531 army division commander? He's our tyrannical dragon group's son-in-law. Xiao Wudi, who had drunk a little wine, pushed Chen Yinzhou away and smiled as he pulled Guopai away. Prepare the car. I'll go with the tyrannical dragon group to take a look. I don't believe that his tyrannical dragon group soldiers are more awesome than our 531 army. Chen Yinzhou also took advantage of the alcohol to get his correspondent to drive an off-road vehicle and follow the Tyrannical Dragon Group's cars up Tyrannical Dragon Mountain. This Chen Yinzhou really doesn't give up, Xiao Wudi said with a smile. The other people in the car also laughed. However, Guopai didn't have any expression at this time. The words over 100 million devil soldiers kept circulating in his mind. Guopai had already begun to plan what to do next. Master, actually, there's no need to be too worried. So what if the devil soldiers exceed 100 million? Just Huaxia alone has nearly 2 billion people. Under the rules of the human world, as long as we can produce 100 million wuxiu who are in the fasting realm, even if we really fight, it's hard to say who will win or lose. Zhao Jin transmitted his voice to Guopai. 100 million wuxiu, and all of them in the fasting realm? Easier said than done. Chapter 6:16. The vehicle stopped in front of the Tyrannosaurus group's entrance. Guopai stepped out of the vehicle, and a group of Tyrannosaurus soldiers surrounded him. Their current cultivation bases were all thanks to Guopai. If it weren't for Guopai's heaven-defying medicinal pills, although they could still become fasting experts, they definitely wouldn't be as relaxed as they were now. Boss Guopai, it's been a while since you came to the Tyrannosaurus group. Our captain has been talking about you. A Tyrannosaurus soldier said to Guopai with a smile. Your captain? Guopai was stunned. Then he saw Xia Fian looking at him from not far away. Guopai smiled and waved at Xia Fian. A bunch of brats. Make way and let little bat in, Xiao Wudi shouted. The group of youths blocking the entrance hurriedly made way, allowing Guopai's group to enter one of the most mysterious places in Huaxia, the hinterland of the Tyrannosaurus group. Xingtian, gather all the soldiers of the Tyrannosaurus group. Little Bad has given us a lot of resources over the years. We have to let Little Bad see the results, Xiao Wudi said with a smile. Xingtian acknowledged, and the entire Tyrannosaurus mountain became lively. Looking at the spirited Tyrannosaurus soldiers, Chen Yinzhou's eyes widened. Yinzhou, my Tyrannosaurus soldiers are all right? Guopai naturally saw Chen Yinzhou's expression and asked with a smile. Because Guopai was the commander of the 531 Division. Compared to the other military region, the 531 Division had more top-notch soldier kings than the other military region. However, compared to these Tyrannosaurus soldiers, Chen Yinzhou was dumbfounded, thoroughly dumbfounded. Not bad. Although the 531 Army has been in the limelight in the recent military region competitions, compared to these soldiers of the Tyrannosaurus group, the 531 Army soldier kings are likely to be crushed, Chen Yinzhou said, shaking his head. More and more people gathered on the T-Rex. Not only did Chen Yinzhou feel an invisible pressure, but even Huaxia and Wu Xiu felt a little uncomfortable. What is Mount Berserk Dragon doing? The sect leaders of the Mount Shu Sword sect and the Master of Energy whispered. What is Mount Berserk Dragon doing? People have been making breakthroughs in recent years. What's going on today? Such a powerful aura. Don't tell me someone is about to ascend. Looks like it's time for the disciples of Mount Shu to go out into the world, Zhang Bujing said softly. Recently, there have been more and more experts appearing in Huaxia, but our disciples haven't made many breakthroughs. Fei Tianyang nodded in agreement. On Mount Tyrannosaurus, 1838 soldiers of the Tyrannosaurus regiment had gathered. A powerful pressure was emitted from everyone. It was no wonder that the two sect masters of Shushan felt as if someone had ascended from the ground. Tyrannosaurus Regiment. Xiao Wudi looked at the soldiers of the Tyrannosaurus Regiment gathered and said loudly to everyone. Although Xiao Wudi, who was already in the Jindan realm, didn't say those 3 words loudly, they resounded throughout the entire Tyrannosaurus mountain. Megatron shocks the heavens. 1838 Tyrannosaurus soldiers shouted in unison. That kind of momentum made Chen Yinzhou, who was standing beside Xiao Wudi, couldn't help but take a step back. Wei Zhentian, it was indeed Wei Zhentian. Even the combined force of more than 300,000 soldiers of the 531 Division didn't have such momentum. Tyrannosaurus Regiment. Xingtian and the other leaders of the Tyrannosaurus Regiment shouted out in unison. Soul invincible. The 1838 soldiers of the Tyrannosaurus Regiment shouted in unison. Chun Yin-zhou was completely subdued by the aura in front of him. Invincible soul, invincible military soul, invincible war soul. The Tyrannosaurus Regiment in front of him was invincible. Sit. As soon as Xiao Wudi said this word, all 1,800-plus people sat down on the ground as if they were one person. Today, Guopai is here again. For our Tyrannosaurus Regiment to be where we are today, we should all thank Guopai. But today, Guopai is here to let Guopai see that the resources he spent on our Tyrannosaurus Regiment were not wasted. Are you all ready? Xiao Wudi asked loudly. Ready. A group of people shouted out in unison. Let Guopai say a few words to everyone. Everyone welcome him. Xiao Wudi continued. The entire Tyrannosaurus Regiment was filled with thunderous applause. Chun Yin-zhou and his family woke up from their shock. If the same 1831 Regiment soldiers were standing in front of this group of people, just this applause alone would probably stun the 1831 Regiment soldiers. This was the difference between them. Guopao enjoyed the applause of these soldiers very much. After about 10 seconds, Guopao stood up and raised his right hand. The applause seemed to have disappeared all of a sudden. It was so orderly that Guopao couldn't help but look at these soldiers in a new light. Although there was still a big gap between their realms, Guopao couldn't help but admire them. If there are a million wuxiu like the Tyrannosaurus Regiment, even if the war between humans and demons starts again, I can at least protect Byaku, this pure land. Guopai couldn't help but say in his heart. Guopai's sigh wasn't without reason. Compared to the ordinary wuxiu Regiment soldiers in front of him, once a person's cultivation broke through to the Xiantian realm, a kind of domineering aura would appear in their bones. This kind of aura would promote many people's cultivation in the future, but sometimes it would also have a negative effect. Many wuxiu Regiment soldiers would fall into a kind of domineering mindset after entering the enlightening realm. Many wuxiu Regiment soldiers would stop at the enlightening realm and couldn't go any further. This was also why a battle of life and death could promote wuxiu Regiment soldiers' breakthroughs. Because only a battle of life and death could make wuxiu Regiment soldiers feel that they were still lacking, that they were still not number one in the world. However, these Tyrannosaurus Regiment soldiers in front of him not only had a domineering aura, they were also able to clearly recognize their current situation. This was very rare. The rarest thing was that once these people were grouped together, because they could entrust their backs to each other, the strength that this group of people could display was absolutely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. You've already done well enough. But today, I still want to see your strength and see if there are any areas where you can improve. Out of the 1838 people, I'll choose 20 people to fight one-on-one. I hope you can give it your all. Guopai's voice wasn't loud, but as soon as his voice fell, all the Tyrannosaurus Regiment soldiers became excited. Little Bad, how about this? The 8 dragon groups of the Tyrannosaurus Regiment will each send 2 people to fight within the group. The other 8 dragon groups will fight against each other. You can give us some pointers. The leader of the Green Dragon Group, Shi Jiang, said with a smile. Then we'll do as Brother Shi says. After 15 minutes, the competition will begin. You can decide who each group will send out. Guopai said with a smile. The Tyrannosaurus Regiment soldiers became lively again. Group leader, Lu Yunfei, is willing to represent the White Dragon in this battle. A soldier under by Xiao stood up and said loudly. Following that, voices of people taking the initiative to volunteer rose and fell one after another. For a moment, the entire Tyrannosaurus Regiment was bustling with noise and excitement. Little Bad, the members have been chosen. Let's begin. Chapter 617. As 16 people walked out from the Tyrannosaurus group, the 8 leaders of the Dragon group also stood before the crowd. Some of the soldiers revealed a vexed expression. However, when Guopai stood up again, everyone's gaze fell on Guopai. Zhang Long against Qi Rang, Ma Ku against Lei Feng, Wang Dai against Song Dian, Yishang against Zhao Hu, Jia Qian against Wang Lei, Zhou Zhan against Zheng Fei, Miao Chong against Shui Sheng, Di Yunxi against Xia Mo. You guys can start first. Guopai's voice wasn't loud. Every time he called out a name, a person would stand up. The two sides looked at each other with respect. Little bad, I didn't expect you to remember all these names, Xing Tian said softly. The other leaders of the dragon group were also shocked by Guopai's performance. I see them as brothers. Of course, I remember their names, Guopai said softly. That simple sentence made everyone excited. Brothers. The most legendary young man in Huaxia saw them as brothers. With such a brother, they could die without regrets. Let the battle of life and death begin. Guopai's second sentence made everyone, except for Xiao Wudi, widen their eyes. Chen Yinzhou wanted to say something, but was stopped by Xiao Wudi. Battle of life and death. That's right. If it's not a battle of life and death, how can I break through? The 16 people looked at each other and unleashed their full strength. The 8 battles began at the same time. The Tyrannosaurus group's soldiers were all excited when they saw the 2-on-1 battles. Chen Yinzhou was completely stunned. A battle of life and death. It was really a battle of life and death. Chen Yinzhou only watched for a few seconds, and his forehead was already covered in sweat. Dragon King, Chen Yinzhou looked at Xiao Wudi and wanted to say something. However, he was interrupted by Xiao Wudi again. A battle is a battle. There's nothing to say. Just watch, Xiao Wudi said expressionlessly. Qi Rang, try this move that I recently learned. Qi Rang's figure flickered as his aura increased by another notch. Then, he threw a punch at Zhang Long. He is only a step away from the core formation stage. If Zhang Long can block this punch, he should be able to break through to the fasting stage. Guopai nodded and said softly, Little bad, what if you can't block this punch? Chen Yinzhou asked softly. If he can't block it, even if I can heal him, he will forever be stuck in the fasting realm. If his vitals are hit, he will die. Guopai said softly. Chen Yinzhou didn't dare to shift his gaze away. Block it. You must block it. Soldiers like this should not be lost on the training ground. If soldiers like this die, it will be a great loss to Huaxia. Chen Yinzhou roared in his heart. Boom! Qi Rang's fist fiercely hit Zhang Long's chest. Zhang Long couldn't block it, and the fist hit his vitals. Little bad, quickly go and take a look. He can't die. Chen Yinzhou said nervously. Good, very good. You can actually think of such a method. Guopai ignored Chen Yinzhou and couldn't help but stand up and say. When Qi Rang's fist hit Zhang Long's chest, Zhang Long spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he had already gathered all his strength and kicked Qi Rang's abdomen. Qi Rang was directly sent flying more than 100 meters away. The outcome of this battle has been decided. Zhang Long wins. Guopai said as he stuffed a medicinal pill into Zhang Long's mouth. Then, he whispered a few words in Zhang Long's ear and directly jumped and landed beside Qi Rang. Take the medicinal pill. Follow the 13 heavenly constellation meridians diagram I told you before and force out the blood clots in your body. If you feel anything, tell me later. After Guopai finished speaking, Qi Rang also sat cross-legged on the ground. Little bad. How are the 2 of them? Chen Yinzhou asked softly. They're lucky. They won't die. Guopai said softly, but the others may not be so lucky. Before Guopai's voice died away, Ma Ke faced Lei Feng. After dodging Lei Feng's fatal blow, Ma Ke punched the back of Lei Feng's head, causing Lei Feng to lie straight on the ground. Ma Ke, you guys bring Lei Feng here. Guopai said expressionlessly. Ma Ke was brought in front of him. Guopai directly stuffed a medicinal pill into Lei Feng's mouth and then performed acupuncture. However, Lei Feng didn't wake up right away. The result of the battle between Wang Dai and Song Dian quickly came out. Song Dian exchanged blows with Wang Dai, and both of them fell to the ground at the same time. However, Song Dian's condition was obviously better than Wang Dai's. Song Dian won. Zhao Hu against Yishang. In the end, Yishang couldn't control his fists and punched Zhao Hu 13 times in a row. At the last moment, Zhao Jin, who was beside Guopai, stepped in to save Zhao Hu. Otherwise, Zhao would have died. Chen Yinzhou was speechless as he watched the battles of life and death. Yinzhou, If you dare to let your people train like this, they will sooner or later end up like the violent dragon group, Xiao Wuwei said softly to Qin Yanzhou. I know, but I don't dare. No commander in any military region dares to give such an order. No country allows soldiers to be trained like this, Qin Yanzhou said softly. Jia Qian against Wang Lei. Jia Qian won by a narrow margin. Zhou Zhan against Zheng Fei. Zhou Zhan won, but he also paid the price of an arm. Miao Chong against Xue Deshang. Di Yunxi against Xia, Mo Di Yunxi was better. I know, so that's how it is. Huh. At the end of the last battle, Zhang Long, who took an elixir and entered a meditative state, stood up abruptly. A hollow elixir was formed in his dantian. Not bad. You finally understood the method of forming elixirs, Guo Pai said with a smile. The soldiers of the violent dragon group showed a trace of envy. In the life and death battles, 4 of them broke through, 7 of them gained a lot, 3 of them were seriously injured, and 2 of them were forever stuck in the fasting realm. If you want to improve, you can only fight to the death. But I don't want you to fight to the death because you are my brothers. I don't want any of you to die in a life and death battle between brothers. Guo Pai said softly. His voice was not loud, but Guo Pai's words were like a sledgehammer, hitting the hearts of more than 1,800 soldiers. Everyone was excited again. Brother Xing, the 8 of you don't have to fight one-on-one. Let's have a 4-on-4 battle. Guo Pai said with a smile. Brothers, watch Brother Xing's battle. They are already in the core formation realm. This kind of battle is the most helpful for you. Maybe you will break through while watching. As soon as Guo Pai's voice fell, the 8 leaders of the dragon group looked at each other. Then, the 8 of them were divided into 2 teams. Gu Yun, the leader of the blue dragon group, was the head of the Gu family. Naturally, he had chosen a new leader from the blue dragon group. Xia Fian was no longer the leader of the red dragon group. Shijiang, Brother Ao, you have to be merciful, Xing Tian said with a smile. Then, the 8 of them burst out with all their strength at the same time. The soldiers of the violent dragon group watched the 8-on-4 battle with rapt attention. Wu Xiao, who was elsewhere in Huaxia, panicked again. Did something happen to the violent dragon group? Chapter 618. Guo Pai didn't find anything wrong with the battle between the 8 core formation stage experts. Just as Xing Tian and Jiang Ao attacked, Guo Pai nodded slightly. Then he set up a restriction on the entire Baolong Mountain and a formation above the 8 people. Guo Pai set up the formation and concealed the aura of the 8 people. At this time, Wu Xiao and Huaxia became even more nervous. There was such a big movement in Baolong Mountain just now, and it disappeared just like that. What happened exactly made everyone guess. Old Man Qin, are you not going to return to Mount Buzhou? Peng Tianhua couldn't help but call Bu Gyaku to find Qin Fengyu. Old Peng, I'm living a carefree life in the capital. Why would I go back? If there's anything, just say it directly. You'd better come to the capital. The cultivation speed here is much faster than in Mount Buzhou, Qin Fengyu said with a smile. Let me ask you something first. You're closer to Baolong Mountain in the capital. Didn't you feel that something happened there? Peng Tianhua asked softly. Something happened? What can happen? Little Bad went to Baolong Mountain early in the morning. If something happened, it can only be a good thing. Qin Fengyu said with a smile. I'll go to Baolong Mountain to take a look later. I think Xiao Wudi is happy again today. After saying that, Qin Fengyu hung up the phone. The old man wasn't afraid of being seen by others. He directly flew up from Bugyaku and flew to Baolong Mountain on his sword. It's Guo Pai's fault. It seems that I really have to go to the capital. I don't know how strong Old Man Qin is now. If this goes on, I really can't beat him, Peng Tianhua said after hanging up the phone. Then, he went down from the top of Mount Buzhou. The battle between the 8 people became more and more intense. All kinds of ruthless moves appeared. The group of soldiers was very satisfied and couldn't help but cheer for the leaders of the dragon group. A one-on-one battle between core formation stage experts was already very rare, let alone a 4-on-4 situation like today. Lu Di, I can't beat you with my bare hands. Take this hammer. Initially, the 8 of them were attacking with their bare fists. However, After a few minutes, Shi Jiang could not hold on any longer. A pair of large hammers appeared in his hands, and he viciously smashed them towards Lu Di, the team leader of the Yellow Dragon Group. Shi Jiang, you've taken out your weapon so quickly? Then let's continue to spar. As Lu Di spoke, a halberd appeared in his hand. One glance was enough to tell that it was an extraordinary item. Originally, the aura emanating from the battle between the few of them was already enough to deter others. When the 8 of them brandished their weapons, the array formation that Guo Pai had set up began trembling. Forget it, forget it. If I let you continue like this, I'm afraid there will really be a problem. Guo Pai saw that these people were already fighting with red eyes, so he jumped into the formation. Then, Guo Pai's performance completely shocked Chen Yinzhou. 1 against 8, all 8 of them dropped their weapons at the same time. Dragon King, just now, the 8 team leaders of the Dragon Group were already at the core formation stage. What is Little Bad's strength now? Is he stronger than the 8 of them? Chen Yinzhou could not help but ask. Not to mention the 8 of them. Even if they add me, they are still not Little Bad's opponent. As for the realm, even if I explain it to you, you won't understand. Do you know what the peak of the Golden Core stage means? Dragon King joked. I know. My family's kid has recently been infatuated with martial arts novels. I know what the Golden Core stage means. After the Golden Core stage is the nascent soul stage. After that, one can transcend the tribulation and ascend. If one succeeds in ascending, one will become a deity. Chen Yinzhou looked at Guo Pai and the 8 team leaders of the Dragon Group and muttered loudly. Cough, cough, cough. Yinzhou, you really know a lot. Hearing Chen Yinzhou's words, Xiao Wudi could not help but cough a few times and laugh. Because of Guo Pai's intervention, the 8 people finally stopped fighting. At this time, the 8 of them discovered that they had suffered different degrees of injuries. After Guo Pai gave a few pills to them, they all sat cross-legged on the ground. So that's the case. I understand now. So this is the difference between the fasting stage and the core formation stage. Although the 8 of them had quieted down, the group of Tyrannosaurus soldiers became restless again. 4 of the Tyrannosaurus soldiers who were at the peak of the fasting stage also entered a meditative state with the 8 team leaders. Dragon King, not bad. None of the pills I gave you were wasted. Dragon King has taught them well, Guo Pai said with a smile. It's all thanks to your pills and the mental cultivation method you provided to these children. Otherwise, who knows how long it would take for them to break through, Xiao Wudi said with a smile. Ignoring the group of Tyrannosaurus soldiers sitting on the field, Xiao Wudi led Guo Pai to the reception room of the Tyrannosaurus group. Little Bad, since the Dragon King is here today, I'll be frank with you, Chen Yinzhou said with reddened eyes as he walked into the reception room. Commander Chen, if you have anything to say, just say it. Since I allowed you to come to Tyrannosaurus Mountain, I'm not treating you as an outsider, Guo Pai said with a smile. Xiao Wudi also nodded. Pills, offensive techniques. I hope you can provide some to the 531 Army. I don't expect all the soldiers of the 531 Army to be like the Tyrannosaurus soldiers, but I hope that you can nurture a group of true elite soldiers for Hua Xia, Chen Yinzhou said with a hint of longing. Xiao Wudi didn't take Chen Yinzhou's words to heart, but Guo Pai suddenly had an idea of his own. If he could really have a group of Wuxiu soldiers who were in the fasting period, even if the great demon rose, he would at least have the strength to fight. Uncle Chen, since you said this, I won't play dumb with you. Chen Yinzhou was stunned for a moment when he heard the words Uncle Chen. Then, he revealed a happy smile. Although it was just a change in address, Chen Yinzhou knew very well that his matter was settled. Little Bad, say it. If there's anything that I, Chen Yinzhou, can cooperate with you, just say it, Chen Yinzhou said loudly. I need soldiers who are absolutely loyal, not only to Hua Xia, but also to me, Guo Pai. I need soldiers who can stand up when the time comes, just like the Tyrannosaurus soldiers. They can treat me as a brother, and I can also treat them as a brother's soldiers. Guo Pai's words stunned Chen Yinzhou. Uncle Chen, you should know where my pills and offensive techniques come from. I am a sect master of Tiandao sect, a hidden sect. There are some things that you don't know. Let me tell you this. If you accept my things and give them to your soldiers, All the soldiers who use my things must stand up when Guopai is in trouble. How many soldiers can you find like this? Guopai continued. Everyone has their own selfish motives. I can't guarantee that all my soldiers will be able to do this. Chen Yinzhou said softly. Let's go back. Pick out some people who are more talented and have a clean background. I'll go to the 53 to 3 First Army in a few days to take a look. It shouldn't be a problem for you to pick out 10,000 people from a military region with hundreds of thousands of people, right? After Guo Pao finished speaking, even Xiao Wudi's eyes widened. Chapter 619. 10,000 people. Guo Pai asked Qin Yinzhou to prepare 10,000 people for him. What was he preparing to do? Xiao Wudi thought for a moment and suddenly understood. If it was really as he thought, then the 531 army would be very powerful. No, the entire Hua Xiao military region would be very powerful. Little bad, 10,000 people. Think about it carefully. The resources required for 10,000 people will be an astronomical figure. Can Tiandao sect afford such a large consumption? Xiao Wudi reminded in a low voice. Let Uncle Chun prepare first. If the personnel can satisfy me, I will train more wuxiu. Guo Pai said softly. Starting from the army was undoubtedly the best choice. At least the quality of the people in the army was higher than ordinary people. Seeing that Guo Pai was so confident, Xiao Wudi didn't say anything else. Haha. Refreshing, really refreshing. Little Bad has broken through. Haha. Lao Xing, have finally broken through. Just as the few of them were talking, Xing Tian's voice came from outside the door. Hearing the word breakthrough, Xiao Wudi was the first to stand up. Xing Tian's breakthrough meant that the Tyrannosaurus group had another gold core expert. The current Tyrannosaurus group wasn't inferior to some of the big sects in Huaxia. Brother Xing, it's just an illusory gold core. The next time I go out, I will bring you with me. If the opportunity is good, you should be a real gold core expert. Guo Pai looked at Xing Tian and said with a smile, illusory gold core? No, I can feel that the gold core in my Dan Tian has been formed. My strength has at least doubled. Xing Tian said in a low voice, if it's a large success of gold core, your strength will increase by at least 10 times. Tell me, are you an illusory gold core now? Guo Pai didn't say anything, but Xiao Wudi said with a smile, all right, you should give up your position as the leader of the Azure Dragon Group. You can follow Little Bad for now. Xing Tian smiled and nodded. In the afternoon, the people who participated in the internal battle woke up from their meditation one after another. Originally, Guo Pai thought that Jiang Ao might be an illusory gold core like Xing Tian. But in the end, Jiang Ao was a little unlucky. Lu Di, who had been steadily reached the illusory gold core realm. After dinner, Guo Pai explained some cultivation methods to all the soldiers in the Tyrannosaurus group and answered some of their questions. And until 2 o'clock in the evening, Guo Pai, Dragon King, I'll take Brother Xing and Brother Lu away at dawn. Keep these pills. If you meet a good seedling, nurture it well. Although the world is peaceful now, it won't stop the chaos in Huaxia. When the time comes to solve the chaos in Huaxia, we'll have to rely on the people of the Tyrannosaurus group, Guo Pai said softly. Xiao Wudi nodded and took the jade bottle without hesitation. The sky was slightly bright. Guo Pai didn't inform anyone. He drove Xing Tian, Lu Di, and Zhao Jin out of the Tyrannosaurus Mountain. After leaving the Tyrannosaurus Mountain, Lu Di looked at the Tyrannosaurus Mountain with some reluctance. Although it wasn't the first time he left, he knew that leaving the Tyrannosaurus Mountain this time was different from before. Brother Lu, on the path of cultivation, there aren't so many worries. Only by calming down, forgetting everything, and letting go of everything can you reach the peak of martial arts. Guo Pai naturally saw through Lu Di's thoughts and said with a smile, Little Bad, have you reached that realm? Lu Di asked with a smile. No, I don't have to reach it. Lu Di shook his head in confusion. Guo Pai didn't explain much. Among the three of them, only Zhao Jin understood what Guo Pai meant. Yes, he had already ascended to the heaven realm once and was doing well in the heaven realm. Master had indeed been able to let go of everything. However, there were more and more things that he couldn't let go of. Guopai's car returned to Bugyaku at around 8 o'clock in the morning. Bugyaku had just opened for business. Xing Tian and Lu Di walked into Bugyaku with ease. A few Bugyaku students also knew the two of them and started chatting with a smile. "Zhao Jin, let's go. I'll bring you in to meet a few old guys." Guopai smiled and said to Zhao Jin, "This is Master's training ground now. You can be considered to have returned to your home now." Guopai's voice wasn't loud, but Zhao Jin's whole body trembled. It had been more than 1,000 years since he was framed by his senior brother and forced to leave the sect. Home. He was once again following his master home. Let's go. The current world is very different from the past. Things like the past won't happen again, Guopai said with a smile. He walked into Bugyaku and Zhao Jin followed behind him. Many people's eyes fell on Zhao Jin, who was wearing a military uniform. All of them had kind smiles on their faces. Zhao Jin hadn't felt this kind of feeling for 1,000 years. Little bad, congratulations. Today you master and disciple have reunited. Let's celebrate. After Guopai told Li Qiu and the others about Zhao Jin, Li Shixin said with a smile. The others echoed. Zhao Jin looked at the experts in the room. After he obtained his physical body, he had stayed in the human world for more than 200 years. He was very clear about Wu Xiu's strength in the human world. However, he didn't expect his master to have so many powerful people. It was really a place with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. In addition, this was completely different from his master's temperament in the past. Thinking back, there were only 1,000 people in the entire sect. The number of disciples that his master could trust could be counted on one hand. Those from other sects who came to seek help from his master were all rejected by his master. Why would there be so many experts in front of his master now? There's enough good wine today. I'll ask Uncle Zhou to prepare some good dishes. Let's have a good drink tonight, Guopai said with a smile. At this time, you were walked in from outside. Bad guy, why are you so happy today? Look who this is. You said. Little Ling, Mo, emerged from behind you, with a smile. Girl, how is it? Your injuries are all healed, right? I gave you a new heart. It's not bad, right? You have to thank Mao. Guopai looked at Little Ling Mo and said with a smile. I've already thanked Mao. Little Ling Mo said with a smile. Big brother bad guy, I'm now an expert in the gold course stage. When will you take me out for a walk again? Cough, cough, cough. Take good care of me in Bugyaku. This time, you almost lost your life when you went out. You still want to go out? Guopai said with a smile. The others in the room also laughed. Master, which one of the two is Master's wife? Zhao Jin asked Guopai softly when he saw that the few people had finished chatting. His voice had been suppressed by Zhao Jin, but everyone in the room still heard it clearly. Just when Guopai wanted to answer, Tang Shi, Su Yi, and a few other girls brought little Meng Meng into the room. Cough, cough. Little Meng Meng, come here. This is Uncle Zhao Jin. Call him Uncle. Guopai coughed a few times and said, Disciple, other than this little girl who is Master's daughter, the others are all Master's wives. Hearing Guopai's words, all the girls in the room blushed while the old guys burst out into laughter once again. I finally guessed correctly this time. After not seeing you for so long, Master hasn't changed at all. Chapter 620. I finally got it right this time. I haven't seen you for so long, but you haven't changed at all. Zhao Jin's words made everyone in the house laugh, even more happily. Guopao then introduced everyone in the room to Zhao Jin, the ancestor of the water immortal, Shui Yunzi, the powerful beings of the dragon race. Ao Feng and the others, the human race's experts, Li Shixin, Qiu Daoyuan, Qi Yun, and Li Feng from the Nine Heavens Purgatory, Mao Tu and Mao Er, the descendants of the two most powerful monkeys, Yin'er the third prince, Xin Yuan Hao, his cheap junior brother, the old Taoist Tong Yuan, Huda, and the others who had transformed into human form on the Fire Cloud Island, the fire divine Beast Guohua, the descendants of the great witch, Xue Zhu, and Kong Fei. I really didn't expect that in just a few years, Master is already roped in so many powers. If Master had such connections back then, even if Master ascended to the heaven realm, the sect wouldn't have been so messed up by Big Senior. Zhao Jin sighed in his heart. Bad guy, I forgot to tell you. The leaders of the Sword and Qi sects of Mount Shu have arrived. They are now under the Gu clan's arrangement. Smiled and said to Guopai, I was thinking of going to Mount Shu recently. I didn't expect them to come. I'll go take a look. You guys can chat first. Guopai didn't let the group follow him. He called out to Guohua and walked towards the Gu clan. Master, why isn't Bad Big Brother here yet? Back when he left Shushan, he said that he would be back in a year. 6 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and Bad Big Brother hasn't come even once. The little boy, who was about 12 or 13 years old, whispered to the two old men beside him. Little Han, you can't blame Guopai. In recent years, many things have happened in Huaxia. If not for Guopai, I'm afraid that Huaxia would be in chaos now. The person who spoke was none other than the sect leader of the Mount Shu Sword sect, Fei Tianyang, who is still lamenting about the incident at Mount Shu a day ago. Let's wait. Sect Master Gua isn't in Bugyaku. It's very likely that it has something to do with the Baolong Mountain. When he comes later, let's ask him properly. Zhang Bujing said softly. Sect Master Zhang, Sect Master Fei, it's been a while since we last met. May I know what brings you two here today? Before they entered the house, Guopai's words had already reached them. Fei Tianyang and Zhang Bujing hurriedly stood up to welcome him. Sect Master Guopai, long time no see. How have you been? The two of them cupped their fists and greeted Guopai. Don't call me Sect Master Guopai. You two look more like Guopai. According to your age, I'll call you two elder brothers. Guopai said with a smile. This little guy should be little Han Wu that I saw at the medicine tower that day. Not bad, not bad. I haven't seen you in a few years, and you've grown into a big guy. Bad guy, bro. You can still recognize me. That day when you left Mount Shu, you said that you would come to Mount Shu to see me after a year. It's already been 6 years. If Han Wu didn't come down from the mountain, I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to see Brother Bad Guy again. Little Han Wu said with a pout. Haha, Guopai was wrong in this matter. Let me see what kind of strength you have now, so that I can give you some compensation. Guopai said with a smile. He reached out his hand and shook little Han Wu's hand. Martial Lord Realm, haha, not bad at all. Wuji really has a way of choosing people. Guopai's face was full of smiles as he thought to himself. I'll give this flying sword to you. Little guy, you practice both sword and chi. This is the real cultivation method of Mount Shu. Not bad, not bad. Guopai smiled and handed a miniature version of the flying sword to little Han Wu. Little Han Wu did not stand on ceremony and directly held the flying sword in her hand. You two, don't stand here. Let's go in and have a seat. If there's anything, we can talk about it slowly. Guopai said, and they returned to the house again. Bad brother, you don't come to the temple for no reason. Recently, there's been some problems in Mount Shu. We can't solve it, so Big Grandpa asked me to come to you. Zhang Bujing shook his head and said, Senior medicine addict Zhang asked you to come? Could it be that something happened at the medicine tower? Guopai was stunned and asked softly. Ever since Bad Brother left Mount Shu, Big Grandpa and a few elders of the medicine tower went into seclusion. About half a year later, they came out together. Of course, they brought a lot of good news to Mount Shu. Just the meridian opening pills alone were refined. Zhang Bujing said softly. With the help of those pills, the disciples of Mount Shu improved very quickly. Mount Shu, which was facing a shortage of young people, became popular again. In the first 3 years, Big Grandpa and Grandpa Chung were silent in refining medicine. According to the speed of Mount Shu's development at that time, Mount Shu will definitely return to the peak of Huaxia and Wuxiu in less than 10 years. Zhang Bujing continued unhurriedly. Get to the point. Guopai nodded and said 4 words. 3 years ago, an old man came to Mount Shu and insisted on going to the medicine tower to see the masters of the medicine tower. We didn't know the origin of the old man, so we didn't let him climb the medicine tower. However, the old man stayed in Mount Shu for 7 days. After that, the old man disappeared from the medicine tower. When we saw the old man again, he came out of the medicine tower with Big Grandpa. Big Grandpa was full of respect for him, but from that day on, Big Grandpa and Grandpa Chung stopped refining medicine. The medicine tower suddenly quieted down. Zhang Bujing said softly. Later on the 15th of every month, the old man would go to the medicine tower of Mount Shu. Until half a year ago, the fire mythical beast forced the old man out of the medicine tower. Since then, the old man didn't come to Mount Shu again. However, from that day on, no one in Mount Shu had broken through. Big Grandpa checked the whole Mount Shu, but didn't find anything suspicious. That's why he asked us to come down the mountain to find you. I hope Bad Brother can follow us to the mountain to take a look. Forced out of the medicine tower by the fire mythical beast? Guopai said in a daze. When Guohua beside him heard the words fire mythical beast, he couldn't help but shiver. His gaze fell on Guopai. Is a fire mythical beast okay? In the past 6 years, we've only seen the fire mythical beast once. I heard from Great-Grandpa that the fire mythical beast wasn't the two from the medicine pagoda back then. The one that forced the old man away should be the child of the two fire mythical beasts. Zhang Bujing said softly. Big Grandpa asked us to invite you to Mount Shu to see if there's anything wrong with the two fire mythical beasts. Big Grandpa hasn't seen any traces of the two fire mythical beasts for 3 years. Then why didn't you come to find me earlier? Guopai didn't say anything. Guohua beside him looked at the two hostages and asked. Then he exerted all his pressure and stared at the two of them. Guohua started to feel nervous when he heard that there was no news about his parents in the past 3 years. Guohua, you go back first and make some preparations. Tomorrow morning, follow me to Mount Shu. Guopai waved his hand, and the pressure on Guohua disappeared. Guopai said softly to Guohua. Guohua looked at Guopai and nodded gently. Bad Brother, that Guohua beside you just now has already reached the golden core stage at such a young age. He's really amazing, Fei Tianyang said with a trace of surprise. I hope nothing big happened to Mount Shu. Otherwise, with Guohua's temper, Mount Shu would be in chaos. Guopai didn't reply to Fei Tianyang's words and said in his heart. He just wanted to find some time to go to Mount Shu, but he didn't expect something to happen there. Chapter 6:21. After settling Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang down, Guopai brought little Wuhan to Bugyaku. Big Brother Wuhan, I was just about to look for you. Why did you come with Bad Daddy? Little Meng Meng said as she watched Guopai lead little Wuhan into Bugyaku. Little Ling Mo was already a 16-year-old girl. Little Meng Meng and little Ling Mo did not have much in common. However, little Wuhan was a few years older than little Meng Meng. The two of them chatted very well. Meng Meng, bring Big Brother Wuhan to play. Daddy still has things to do. After I'm done, let's have a good meal together, Guopai said with a smile. After handing little Wuhan to little Meng Meng, the two of them walked away happily. Big Brother Bad Guy, did something happen in Shushan? You were asked softly when she saw Guopai walking over. Guohua just came back. His expression is a little strange. I'll go take a look at Guohua. I'm afraid Shushan is in trouble, Guopai said softly. If I'm not wrong, this matter has something to do with the great demon. You should go take a look at Yuer first. Recently, the weather has been very chaotic. I've tried divining a few times, but the heavenly secrets have been deceived. I can't divine anything, Yuer said softly. Guopai walked towards Guohua's room. The door to Guohua's room was open. Guopai walked straight in. A few clean clothes were placed beside the bed. Guohua was sitting cross-legged on the bed with his eyes closed. It was as though he had entered a meditative state. Guohua, your heart is so chaotic. Even if you force yourself to enter a meditative state, it won't have any effect. Get up. Let's have a chat. Guopai sat on the bed and smiled at Guohua. Bad Master, a few days ago, I felt that something was going to happen in Shushan. Later, I couldn't feel it anymore. I didn't expect something to really happen, Guohua said softly. Bad Master, can you divine what happened in Shushan? You forget it. I didn't calculate it. Tomorrow morning, I will go to Shushan with the 2 Shushan sect leaders. You will come with us. You will know what happened then. But you have to promise me that no matter what happens, don't be impulsive and listen to me. Can you do that? Guopai said softly. Don't worry, Bad Master. I'm not a reckless person. Guo said softly. His parents and elder brother were in Shushan, and he could no longer sense their auras. This was what worried Guo the most. Time is of the essence. Take these two magic treasures and find a way to make them recognize you as their master. Tomorrow morning, go to Bugyaku and find me. We will go together on our flying swords. Guopai finished speaking and left a fire-attributed flying sword and a fire-red bead at Guohua's residence. When Guopai returned to Bugyaku, dinner was already prepared. The two sect leaders of Shushan were invited to Bugyaku for dinner. Looking at the room full of experts, the two sect leaders of Shushan were shocked. In the past, I had some relationship with Master Limitless. You can rest assured about Shushan. Tomorrow, we will follow Little Bad to Shushan. Nothing will happen. After drinking a few cups of wine, Qi Yun and Li Feng pulled Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang and said with a smile. The two originally doubted the identity of Qi Yun and Li Feng. Later, Qi Yun and Li Feng almost revealed some of Shushan's secrets to the world. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang hurriedly pulled the two back. They completely believed that the two old men in front of them were really related to Shushan's old ancestor, Master Limitless. You two don't have to be so nervous. The matters of Mount Shu are no secret to the few of you here. We really don't care about the swordsmanship of your Mount Shu sect. This Wind Nine Yang swordsmanship was created by this old man in the Nine Heavens Purgatory 1,000 years ago. It's not much worse than the Nine Heavens Immortal slaying swordsmanship of Mount Shu. Take a look at it. Wind Separation was generous after drinking some wine. He threw his unique swordsmanship to Zhang Bujing. Thank you, Senior. Zhang Bujing received the secret sword art and sobered up a lot. He hurriedly thanked Li Feng and opened the secret realm. He was immediately attracted by the sword art inside. Exquisite, it was really too exquisite. Zhang Bujing couldn't believe that there was such a sword art in the world. Suddenly, his admiration for the two old men in front of him reached the peak. Sigh, Shushan has fallen. When Master Limitless discussed the Tao with us, whether it was sword art or inner strength, he could provide unique insights. Now, Shushan is divided into two sects, Sword and Qi. It's no longer as imposing as it used to be. Qian shook his head and said. A group of old men in the room nodded. Sects were like this. As the saying goes, when a person achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. However, this was often not the case. Many sects were like this. After one person ascended, the sect would completely fall. It was already a good result to not be annexed by other sections. After 3 rounds of drinking, they were almost done. Guopai selected the people who would go to Shushan the next day. At this critical moment, if everyone went to Shushan, Guopai would be a little worried about Bugyaku. Finally, he told Qi Yun and Li Feng. Together with Guohua, the 4 of them were going to follow Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang back to Shushan to take a look. Tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, we will fly directly to Shushan on our swords. We will gather in Bugyaku at that time. Guopai said with a smile. Although Qi Yun and Li Feng drank a lot of wine, for masters at the peak of the Gold Core realm like them, the wine was nothing. The 2 of them nodded with a smile and went back to sleep. Brother Bad Guy, why don't you bring a few more people? Why don't you let Uncle Ao or Lord Water follow you? If there's really a great devil, you can save some effort. Yuer looked at everyone leaving and said with a smile. First wife, Shushan is a human sect. Let the humans deal with it themselves. Although Uncle Ao and Lord Water will be safer with them, now is not the time to expose them. Sooner or later, we will have a fierce battle with the Great Devil. At that time, we will let Uncle Ao and Lord Water take action. Guopai said softly. Yuer nodded and didn't ask any more. After a sleepless night, at 4 o'clock, Qi Yun and Li Feng arrived at Guopai's residence in Bugyaku. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang had also arrived before them. Only Guohua hadn't come yet. Everyone, please wait here for a moment. I will go look for Guohua. I guess he still hasn't figured out the 2 magic treasures I gave him. Guopai said with a smile. However, he had a bad premonition in his mind. Bad master, I can't wait until tomorrow. I have already made the two magic treasures recognize me as their master. Guohua has already gone to Shushan. Bad master, please don't blame me. Guopai walked into Guohua's room and saw a line of words neatly written on a piece of white paper. Guopai helplessly shook his head. Yesterday, he gave the magic treasures to Guohua in the hope that he would go with him to Shushan to investigate. He didn't expect that Guohua would still go first. Let's go. We have to speed up. Guohua has already gone to Shushan. Guopai said softly to the four people. The four people nodded. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang had reached the core formation stage with the help of medicinal pills in recent years. Flying on their swords was naturally not a problem for them. The five people directly flew towards Shushan. I don't know what happened to the fire god beast. Guohua, don't be impulsive. Chapter 622. Guopai and the rest flew at an extremely fast speed on their flying swords. 3 of them were at the pinnacle of the Golden Core Realm, and 2 were at the Deshang stage of the Golden Core Realm. Guopai and the rest did not conceal their aura along the way. Along the way, they tormented many Wuxiu cultivators who were meditating. Shu Mountain's mountain protecting array is not broken. How did that mysterious old man enter Shu Mountain that day? Didn't you check? Guopai and the rest came to the front of the Shu Mountain protecting array and could not help but ask Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang. There's a hole in the Shu Mountain protecting array. Guohua has already arrived at Shu Mountain. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang were shocked. The two of them did not expect that there would be a hole in the Shu Mountain protecting array that had protected Shu Mountain for thousands of years. How is this possible? Let's go. Let's talk about it after we reach Shu Mountain. Qi Yin said. He naturally also found the hole in the Shu Mountain protecting array and flew directly into Shu Mountain. Who are you? Tell me your name. As soon as they entered Shu Mountain, a few Shu Mountain disciples noticed Qi Yun and Li Feng. They immediately surrounded the two of them and asked loudly, "Scram, scram. A bunch of scum. Do what you're supposed to do." Qi Yun said loudly to the few Shu Mountain disciples. He had never been questioned like this in his life. Obviously, the two old men were not happy to be questioned like this. Leave quickly. Don't be rude to the two seniors. Before Qi Yun's voice fell, Zhang Bujing, Fei Tianyang, and Guopai had already entered Shu Mountain. Zhang Bujing hurriedly said to the Shu Mountain disciples, "Greetings, sect master." The group of Shu Mountain disciples saw Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang and hurriedly bowed to the two of them. There's no need to bow. Some time ago, did a red-haired young man enter Shu Mountain? Where is he now? Guopai was not polite to the group of Shu Mountain disciples and asked loudly, "Red-haired young man? We've been on Wuji Peak all this time and have not seen any red-haired young man." The leader of the group of patrolling Shu Mountain disciples hurriedly said, "Impossible. I've already sensed Guohua's aura in Shushan." Guopai shook his head and said, "The two of you, I want to borrow the Shu Mountain's rest returning platform to see if Guohua has gone to the Medicine Pagoda." Guopai did not wait for Zhang Fei and the other two to agree. He directly flew towards the rest returning platform. The group of Shushan disciples looked at Guopai and then at the two sect masters. The sect masters did not object. They could not be bothered to compete with such an expert. Go to the elders' mansion and call the few elders of Shushan here. There's something important. Zhang Bujing recalled that the few of them had mentioned that there was something wrong with the Mount Shu Grand Array and hurriedly said to the Mount Shu disciples. The few of them quickly walked towards the elders' mansion. Guopai stepped onto the rest-returning platform. Apart from being useful for healing injuries, the rest-returning platform could also be used to search for people. However, apart from Guopai, no one in Shushan knew how to use the rest-returning platform. Guopai fiddled with the rest-returning platform for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. He whispered the word "search," and the 18 pieces of yin-yang twin jade around him slowly floated up. Guopai's shadow appeared on a transparent first-class jade in front of Guopai. Guohua had sneaked into Shushan. The group of Shushan disciples did not discover him. After Guohua ascended the Wuji Peak, he went straight to Froda Since Guopai had been guiding him in his cultivation all these years, the array formation of Froda did not pose a problem for Guohua. Guopai heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that everything was fine. However, before he could finish heaving a sigh of relief, Guohua's shadow appeared on the first-class jade again. Guohua came down from Froda with a gloomy face with a fire elemental flying sword in his hand. Then he left Shushan. Of course, the Mount Shu disciples did not see any of this. Something must have happened to Guohua's parents and his twin brother. Otherwise, this kid would not be so angry. Guopai's expression turned serious. Sect Masters, I'm going to take a look at the medicine tower. Brother Chi, Brother Li, the two of you should help Shushan fix their mountain protecting array first. After saying that, Guopai flew in the direction of Froda. The array formation outside Froda did not affect Guopai at all. Is drug addict Zhang around? Guopai entered Froda and shouted from the first floor of Froda. At this time, several old men appeared on the first floor of Froda at the same time. Little rascal, it's been a while since we last met. Your strength has improved by leaps and bounds, medicine addict Zhang said as he looked at Guopao. Chung Dakuan and the other elders nodded in agreement. Old masters, you all seem to be in good spirits. I wonder if anyone can tell me about the mysterious old man that appeared in Shu Mountain a few days ago. What exactly is going on? Guopao looked at the old man and asked with a smile. Little bad, take a look at these prescriptions first. Drug addict Zhang did not answer Guopai's question. He just handed a few animal skins to Guopai. Guopai could feel that the animal skins handed to him by drug addict Zhang were extraordinary without looking at them. Yin Yang Divine Pill, 9 Yang Life Extending Pill, 9 Stars Great Supplement Pill. Guopai looked at the first 3 animal skins and narrowed his eyes. Old man, these prescriptions aren't given to Shushan for free, right? Such precious prescriptions. Even if they were given to us for free, we wouldn't dare to take them. Drug addict Zhang smiled and said, Taoist, Nun Linglong's alchemy skills are not inferior to little use. Take a look at these elixirs. With that, drug addict Zhang handed a jade bottle to Guopai. Guopai took the jade bottle and opened it a little. A medicinal fragrance wafted out. However, a moment later, Guopai's face turned gloomy. Little bad. Is there a problem with this medicine? Drug addict Zhang naturally noticed the change in Guopai and asked softly. 9 worms and 9 herbs God's sealing pill. Old man, do you know what effect this pill has? Guo Shuai asked in a gloomy voice. Taoist Nun Linglong said that if an ordinary person takes this pill, regardless of whether it's wuxio or not, they can directly enter the fasting realm. We haven't found anyone to try such a miraculous medicine. Drug addict Zhang said excitedly. Fortunately, you haven't found anyone to test the medicine. Otherwise, you would really be a sinner of Shushan. Take out all the elixirs and prescriptions that Taoist Nun Linglong gave you. I think it's more likely that Poison Demon and Medicine Demon work together to set this up. Guopai said with a gloomy face. Little bad, what you're doing is not right. Before drug addict Zhang could say anything, Chung Dakuan stood up and said, Do you think I want to take advantage of your Shushan? Guopai was so angry that he laughed. If you want Shushan to be finished, then keep those elixirs. Do you think you've obtained treasures after being set up by others? Don't tell me you guys haven't sensed anything amiss recently? Looking at Guopai's expression, it didn't seem like he wanted to take advantage of Shushan. If Guopai wanted to take advantage of Shushan, Chung Dakuan had already lost to Guopai in the medicine tower last time. The few elders were a little scared. I will take a look at the fire mythical beast first. If anything happens to it, you'll really be a sinner of Shushan. I really don't know what Master Wuji was thinking back then. Why did he leave Froda in Shushan? Guopai shook his head helplessly and turned to fly to the top of Froda. Even in Shushan, very few people had been to the fire mythical beast residence in recent years. Old man Zhang, are we really wrong? Chapter 6:23. Guopai flew all the way to Froda. The higher he went, the worse his mood became. The fire mythical beast lived on the top floor of Froda. Theoretically, the higher he went, the higher the temperature should be. However, The situation now was the opposite. When he was about to reach the top, the temperature suddenly dropped. Something happened to the fire mythical beast. Guopai had already guessed some things before he arrived at the fire mythical beast residence. Roar! Just as Guopai appeared at the fire mythical beast residence, a loud roar rang in Guopai's ears. A red-furred fire mythical beast pounced on Guopai. Behave yourself. The source of fire in your body has been taken away, and you still have such a bad temper. Take this elixir. Where are your parents? Guopai blocked the fire mythical beast that was charging at him. Then he stuffed a blood-red elixir into the big guy's mouth. The fire mythical beast swallowed the elixir, and his aura suddenly increased. He looked at Guopai and suddenly remembered who the person in front of him was. He lay on the ground obediently. Guopai did not hesitate. He leaped and landed on the fire mythical beast body. In about a minute, the fire mythical beast brought Guopai to a very hidden place. There was even a formation outside. Guopai nodded. The fire mythical beast stood obediently beside Guopai. Guopai drew a dozen strange patterns outside the formation. The formation outside was broken by Guopai. Come out. I'm Guopai. Guopai said softly. Then, two fire mythical beasts that were much smaller than the fire mythical beast in front of him slowly walked out. Guopai could clearly feel that one of them had suffered serious internal injuries. Take this elixir. Don't move first. I have something to ask you, Guopai said. Then he took out two pills and placed them in the mouths of the two divine beasts. You were poisoned, and then the source of fire in your body was taken away, right? Guopai looked at the fire mythological beast couple and asked softly. One of the two big guys nodded, while the other shook his head. Your source of fire hasn't been taken away by anyone, so why can't I feel the aura of the fire element in your body? Guopai continued to ask. The big guy couldn't explain it to Guopai. Guohua was here before. You passed your origin of fire to Guohua, right? Guopai thought for a moment and felt that it must be so, because when he saw Guohua leave the everlasting peak, Guopai could feel that Guohua's strength had improved by quite a bit. He must have inherited the origin of fire. Hearing Guopai's words, the big guy nodded. Where did Guohua go? Do you think Guohua is a match for the person who poisoned you and took away your source of fire? Guopai asked loudly again. Guopai had been with him for several years and cultivated seriously every day. Guopai had already regarded him as his own disciple. If anything happened to Guohua, Guopai would definitely be furious. Hearing Guopai's words, the two divine beasts looked at each other, their faces full of annoyance. However, the other divine beast next to them seemed to want to say something. Strenuous. I'll protect you. Take this shape-shifting elixir. We can't care so much now, Guopai said as he stuffed a 9-colored elixir into Little Fire's mouth. Guopai took out a few more elixirs that contain a lot of energy and stuffed them into Little Fire's mouth as if they were free. Little Fire mythological beast roared and then slowly turned into a human. His appearance was surprisingly similar to Guohua. Because he was in Froda, he avoided the heavenly thunder. You're older than Guohua. Do you know where your brother went? Guopai looked at Little Fire mythological beast who had just turned into a human and asked. My brother found out that my parents and I were seriously injured. After getting the inheritance of the source of fire from my mother's body, he said that he was going to avenge us and left. Little Fire mythological beast said softly. Do you know where he went? Guopai asked loudly. Although I don't know where he went, our hearts are connected. I roughly know where he went. It's a pity that I'm too weak. Otherwise, I could take you to find him, Little Fire mythological beast said softly. Take care of your injuries. I'll take him to find Guohua. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to your son. After saying that, Guopai flew up and directly pulled Little Fire mythological beast who had just turned into a human and rushed to the bottom of Froda. Little bad, we've thought it through. These things are given to us by Taoist Nunling Long. Now, we're giving them to you. Tell us what happened to Mount Shu. When they reached the first floor of Froda, Medicine Addict Zhang and the others put a pile of things on the ground with a regretful face and said to Guopai, It's too late. It's all too late. I don't have time to care about Mount Shu now. Just pray that Guohua is fine. If anything happens to Guohua, I don't care whether Mount Shu lives or dies in the future. Why should I clean up the mess left by Wuji when he ascended to the heaven realm? Guopai said a bunch of words that the group of elders did not understand and disappeared from Froda. Who is Guohua? It seems like something big is going to happen in Shu Mountain. Let's go out and ask Bujing and Tianyang what happened. After medicine addict Zhang finished speaking, he left with a group of Shu Mountain elders who hadn't left the medical tower for 100 years. Brother Qi, Brother Li, come with me. Let's go save Guohua first. Guopai appeared at Wuji Peak again. He did not have time to explain to them. He pulled the two of them up and flew into the sky again, leaving Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang in a daze. Little bad. How did you get another fire mythological beast? Although it's not as good as Guohua, this little guy will probably be a good fighter in the future if we train him. Qian still did not understand what was going on. His gaze fell on the young man behind Guopai who he had been pulling. Your brother is called Guohua. You'll be called Big Fire. It's easier to call you out, Guopai said to little fire mythological beast who had transformed into a human behind him. Feel where Guohua went. Big Fire nodded. Because he had taken the elixir given by Guopai, his perception was better than before. In addition, he and Guopai were brothers. In just a few breaths, he could roughly feel where Guohua flew to. The sea. Guohua went to the sea. Guopai and Chili followed Big Fire's direction and flew towards the East Sea. Not good. If Guohua fights with someone at sea, he will definitely suffer. Let's hurry. After saying that, Guopai and the others sped up again. At that moment, Guopai was standing in front of a mansion on the sea in the East Sea, a fire tribute, flying sword in hand. Guohua had already broken through the array, but he had yet to rush into the mansion. It's here. They took away father and brother's fire essence. That person's strength should have reached the gold core stage, Guohua said to himself. Guohua did not enter. Several people appeared before Guohua. One of them, an old man, narrowed his eyes as he looked at Guohua. According to his parents' description, this old man should be the one who went to the medical tower to drug his parents and later took away the fire essence from his father and brother. Sir said that there are 4 fire essences in the human realm. I spent a lot of effort to find 2. I didn't expect you to send the remaining 2 over. Good, very good. Since you've sent it over, this old woman will accept it. Chapter 624. Within the East Sea, a group of people had surrounded a red-haired youngster. The red-haired youngster was none other than Guohua. Ling Long, you want your source of fire. The sword in this little fellow's hand is no ordinary item. I will help you deal with this kid later. When the time comes, this sword will be mine, Fan Xinghai's. An old man beside Nunling Long stared at the plane in Guohua's hand and spoke with greed. Brother Fan, as long as you make your move, that item will be yours. Nunling Long said with a smile. As for the others, if you are willing to help this old granny deal with this little fellow, this old granny is willing to split the rest of the items equally with you, Nunling Long said with a smile. Several of them brought out their weapons and magic treasures as they stared at Guohua. Originally, I only wanted to deal with this old granny and take back my items. Unexpectedly, so many people came to give me gifts. If so, Guohua, will not hold back. Originally, Guohua's strength was already at the golden core stage. With the addition of the magic treasures that Guopai gave him, his strength had increased greatly. Although there were 3 golden core stage experts surrounding him, Guohua was confident that he could deal with them all. A brat who is still wet behind the ears dares to spout such arrogant words? Eat my sword. A middle-aged man stabbed his sword at Guohua. With this level of strength, you dare to use a sword? Die. Guohua roared out, and the fire-type sword in his hand met the middle-aged man. When the 2 swords collided, the quality of the sword was immediately revealed. The sword that Guopai gave Guohua was called Parting Fire. It was an imitation of the sword used by Zhurong, the ancestor of fire. Although it was an imitation, it was more than enough to deal with the various magic treasures in the hands of the loose cultivators from the East Sea. A good item, truly a good item. I must obtain this flying sword. Fan Xinghai watched as the sword of one of his men was cut into two by Guohua's sword. However, he did not show any intention of helping. Instead, he laughed a very happy laugh, including Nunling Long, Fan Xinghai, and an old man. The three gold core stage experts did not make a move. The other core formation stage experts were defeated in just a few minutes. I can't tell which sect he's from in Huaxia, but he's not weak. Linglong, Xinghai, let's fight him together. The golden core stage expert who had been silent all this time said to Nun Linglong and Fan Xinghai with a smile. Haha, old one, it's been a few hundred years, and I've never seen you say something so embarrassing. 3 against 1, I like it. After Fan Xinghai finished speaking, he nodded to Elder Wan and Nun Linglong. The three of them rushed towards Guohua. Gold core stage experts were much more powerful than core formation stage experts. Guohua did not dare to be careless. In addition to the flying sword in his right hand, his left hand also took out the magic weapon Guopai gave him. Linglong, you want the fire source, and Xinghai wants the flying sword. Then the bead in this little child's left hand is mine. Elder Wan said with a smile. Before his voice faded, the three of them had already rushed to Guohua's side. Although Guohua was also in the gold core stage and had 2 good magic weapons in his hand, under the siege of Nunling Long and the other 2, he gradually fell into a disadvantageous position in about 10 minutes. This little child is very good. Unfortunately, he's not a disciple of my Thousand Cloud sect. Since he's not useful to me, I must destroy him. Linglong, Xinghai, take advantage of his weakness to take his life. Thousand Cloud sect of the Eastern Sea was not a small sect. The sect master Wan Yin was the old man who spoke. Haha, old Wan, for the magic weapon, I see that you're really serious. Since that's the case, then hurry up and deal with this little child. Fan Xinghai said with a smile. Guohua's face became even uglier. Little child, leave the thing behind, and we'll leave your corpse intact. Nunling Long said loudly. Corpse intact, your sister. Guohua said, just as the 3 magic weapons were about to hit his body, an extremely powerful energy burst out from Guohua's body. For the first time since Guohua transformed into his human form, he once again transformed into his fire divine beast form. I said, hand over the fire origin, and I'll spare your life. Guohua, who had transformed into his fire divine beast form, narrowed his eyes as he looked at Nunling Long and said loudly, Nun, this time we've really struck gold. It's actually a Xian beast that has entered the form transformation stage. For a Xian beast of this level, whether it's dead or alive, it's the same for us. Every part of its body is a treasure. Leaving it alive is not easy. Let's just kill it. Just a Xian beast corpse, kill it. Fan Xinghai said loudly. Let's end this quickly. Otherwise, if other people in the Eastern Sea find out about it, it won't be ours anymore. Ling Long roared. Her strength rose again as she charged towards Guohua. Die. You dare to hurt my parents and my brothers. You deserve to die. Guohua, who had transformed into his fire divine beast form, had reached the pinnacle of the gold core stage. Under the siege of 3 people, Guohua did not fall into a disadvantageous position. After about 10 minutes, Ling Long and the other 2 were battered and exhausted under Guohua's powerful attacks. If you have any tricks up your sleeve, don't hide them. If this continues, we'll all be finished. Wan Yin said loudly. A pitch-black long sword appeared in his hand. When the long sword appeared, Nunling Long and Fan Xinghai both widened their eyes. Old Wan, so this treasure sword was obtained by you. You've hidden it well. Fan Xinghai narrowed his eyes and said, after dealing with this big guy in front of us, we'll have a good talk about this treasure sword. After saying that, Fan Xinghai put away his long sword and replaced it with a Buddha staff. A Buddha staff. I'll control this big guy. You guys think of a way to kill him. Nunling Long gritted her teeth. A seemingly small fishing net appeared in her hand. However, when the fishing net appeared, Guohua, who had transformed into his fire divine beast form, could not help but shiver. This thing was definitely not a good thing for him. Nining god-trapping net, collect. Nunling Long shouted. The fishing net in her hand flew towards Guohua. A powerful pressure fell on Guohua's body. Guohua wanted to dodge the fishing net, but was unable to move. After the fishing net landed on Guohua's body, it rapidly expanded, trapping Guohua within. Fan Xinghai and Wan Yun exchanged glances and laughed together. "Hurry up and deal with this brat. I can't hold on for too long." Nunling Long shouted to the two of them. She was feeling even more anxious. The backlash from using the 9 god-trapping net was not small. She did not expect the two old fellows to be laughing like idiots. Hearing Nunling Long's words, the two of them looked at her. At this moment, Nunling Long's face was deathly pale. Fan Xinghai and Wan Yun knew that they had to hurry up and kill Guohua. Nunling Long really could not hold on for too long. "Ling Long, hold on for another 10 breaths. Old Wan, let's go together." After Fan Xinghai said that, the two of them took out their magic treasures and charged toward Guopai. "It's over. This time, I'm afraid I'll have to fight my way in. If I had known, I would have waited for this bad lord." Guohua thought to himself, vexed. Chapter 625. Bang! Just as Guohua saw the sword and staff hitting his body, a white light flashed and blocked the two weapons. Pu. Nunling Long, Fan Xinghai, and Wan Yun all coughed up blood at the same time. Fan Xinghai and Wan Yun were better off, as they had put away their magic treasures. However, Nunling Long had lost contact with her 9 god-trapping net. She had lost contact with her natal magic treasure. Nunling Long forced herself to focus, wanting to see who the 4 people flying over were. "What do you mean by this? We were the first to discover this mystical beast. We are already halfway through the fight. Could it be that you want to rob us?" Wan Yun forcefully endured the pain of the backlash from having his natal magic artifact destroyed and asked the 4 people flying over from afar. "You discover it first? Rob? Rob your sister. You dare to make a move on my people?" It seems like this young master's reputation in the East Sea is not enough. The 4 people flying over were Guo Pai's group of 4. Fan Xinghai and Wan Yun's magic treasure was the throwing knife in Guo Pai's hand. "Your people? You say this big guy is your people? Ridiculous. I have never seen such a shameless person who would rob others. If the other loose cultivators in the East Sea knew about this, you're dead." Fan Xinghai scolded loudly. He did not manage to deal with Guohua, and his life source magic treasure was damaged by the magic treasure of this young man. At this moment, Fan Xinghai's mood was very bad. "Guohua, what's wrong? You don't have the face to see me? Quickly transform into your human form. This young master is not comfortable talking to you." Guohua said loudly to Guohua. Guohua transformed into his human form and stood in front of Guopai. "Bad master, I have lost face for you," Guopai said with his head drooped. "Take this pill and recover your injuries. I will take care of the rest." Guopai said with a smile. "Brother Qi, brotherly, I know you are embarrassed to make a move on a woman. Leave that Nunling Long to me. As for the rest, tie them up for me." After Guopai finished speaking, he directly flew towards Ling Long Nun. Qi Yun and Li Feng also directly used their magic weapons to control Fan Xinghai and Wan Yun. The other core formation stage experts who wanted to escape were also tied up. "You were the one who poisoned Mount Shu, weren't you? Nunling Long, I wonder what your relationship is with Poison Demon or Medicine Demon." Guopai squinted his eyes at the old woman before him and asked with a smile. "Poison from Shushan? What Poison Demon, Medicine Demon? I don't know what you're talking about," Nunling Long said with a blank expression. Guopai looked at Nunling Long's expression and felt a little depressed. Does the poison of Mount Shu have nothing to do with this old woman? Then who was it that had infiltrated Shu Mountain and poisoned them? If it wasn't you, then why did you go to Shushan and force the fire god beast out of its body? Guopai asked loudly. "First, hand over the fire god beast." Nunling Long suddenly thought of something and loudly said to Guopai, "Brat, this fire god beast has already transformed into a human. Since it has followed you, I will not take the fire god beast from its body. However, I advise you that there are some things that you better not get involved in. Although your strength is not weak, it is still far from being comparable to master. First, hand over the fire god beast. I want to see what kind of person your master is. Guopai squinted his eyes and said. He could feel that Linglong was being controlled by someone. Here you go, Brad. Sooner or later, you will know how powerful Master is. Ha! After Nun Linglong finished speaking, her eyes suddenly widened and there was no longer a trace of life. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. His guess was right. Linglong was being controlled by someone. It was impossible for him to use the enslavement technique. Dead. She died just like that. Guohua looked at the fallen Nun Linglong and couldn't help but mutter to himself. Guopai took back the 2 fire god beads and threw them to Guohua. Guohua, the one beside you is your brother. You can do as you see fit with the fire god beads. Your father not only lost his fire god beads, but he was also poisoned. It is a poison that I have no way of curing. You guys go back to Shushan first. I will take a walk with Brother Qi and Brother Li, Guopai said softly. Brother, I have 2 fire god beads on me. You can take them. You go back to Shushan first. I will follow Master Bad. After I am done, I will return to Shushan to find you guys. Guohua looked at Big Fire, who looked exactly like him, and said softly. Big Fire nodded and swallowed the fire god beads into its stomach. Then, it flew in the direction of Shushan. After sending Big Fire away, Guohua knelt in front of Guopai and said softly, Master Bad, I was wrong. However, let me follow you first. When we return to the imperial capital, I will accept any punishment. Get up first. This is the first and last time. You are my man. However, if you act on your own again, you will no longer be my man. I will not save you. Guopai said it lightly. However, Guohua knew that if there was a next time, Guopai would no longer care about him. Little Bad, what do you plan to do next? How do you plan to deal with these people? Qi Yun asked with a smile. This was the first time they had fought after coming out of 9 Heavens Purgatory. Unfortunately, the opponents were a little weak. Guopai used the soul-searching technique on the few people who attacked. However, he didn't find anything. Because of Guopai's soul-searching technique, the few people who were soul-searched would no longer have any breakthroughs in the future. There are some old friends in the East Sea. Let's walk around the East Sea together and see if we can find any clues. After Guopai finished speaking, he led the 3 of them and flew towards the East Sea auction house. Who are you? The few of them broke through the array formation outside the auction house. Just as they entered the auction house, several guards of the Ding family walked to their side and asked Guopai in a loud voice. Quickly go and tell Ding Luoyu that Guopai is here. Guopai said with a smile. When a few of them heard the 2 words Guopai, they immediately became excited. Guopai's reputation in the East Sea was not small. The few of them didn't dare to neglect him. One of them went to inform Ding Liu, while the others led Guopai and the others to the reception room of the auction house. What a rare guest. Bad guy, I was wondering why I felt so refreshed early in the morning. It turns out that an honored guest has come knocking. Guopai and the others had just sat down when Ding Luoyu walked in with a smile on his face. The people beside him were not outsiders. Several elders of the Ding family looked at Guopai and the others and nodded with smiles on their faces. I haven't come to visit little brother for quite some time. Today, I happen to be in the East Sea to handle some matters. So I thought I'd drop by and ask little brother some questions, Guopai said with a smile. There are no outsiders here. Bad guy, just say what you want to say, Ding Luoyu said with a smile. Does little brother Liu know Nun Linglong? Guopai asked with a smile. Has anything strange happened in the East Sea recently? Nun Linglong, the sect master of the East Sea's exquisite refinement sect? Why is Little Bad suddenly asking about her? Nun Linglong hasn't left the exquisite refinement sect for 100 years, Ding Rulong said with a smile. Chapter 626. Exquisite Refinement Sect. Uncle Long, where is the Exquisite Refinement Sect located? Guopai asked softly. South of the East Sea? I'm not too sure about the exact location. I've only heard the name Nun Linglong from my family's elders. Little Bad, why are you looking for Nun Linglong? If there's anything, I can ask someone to help you inquire about it, Ding Rulong said with a smile. It's not a big deal. The heavenly Dao Sect's elders asked me to inquire about it. Guopai did not tell Ding Rulong about Nunling Long and the others. I wonder if anything strange has happened in the East Sea recently. Strange? What strange things could happen in the East Sea? Aside from some personal grudges, everyone is already used to it. What other strange things could happen? Ding Liu said with a smile. Bad guy, I'll take you to see some good things in a while. Let's have lunch together. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Let's have a good chat. Guopai nodded and introduced Qi Yun and the others to Ding Liu. Ding Liu had several elders accompany Qi Yun and Li Feng while he led Guopai to the auction house's treasure room. Bad guy, I guarantee that this thing will definitely catch your eye. Along the way, Ding Liu did not tell Guopai what it was. He kept saying that it was something good for refining pills. Guopai was very much looking forward to it. You guys guard outside, don't let anyone in. Ding Liu instructed the several people guarding the entrance of the treasure room. He then led Guopai into the treasure room. In the past year, the auction house had collected a lot of good things. However, there were not many things that caught Guopai's eye. Ever since he saw so many magic treasures and pills in the 9 heavens purgatory, Guopai was not interested in ordinary things. Brother Liu, what exactly is it? Don't keep me in suspense. I also have a few good things on me. If I take a fancy to your item, I won't take it for free. I'll exchange it with you. You won't lose out, Guopai said with a smile. The two of them walked in front of the big shelf, and Ding Liu pulled out a big box. Hee, bad guy, you're very knowledgeable. I wonder if you've seen this before. After saying that, Ding Liu slowly opened the big box. A powerful energy aura emerged from the box. However, what Guopai sensed was not an energy aura, but a familiar feeling. Ancient demon insect corpses. If this wasn't the corpses of ancient demon insects, then what could it be? Guopai opened his eyes wide. The insect corpses in front of him were different from the 10,000 insect corpses he had found last time. These insect corpses had wings. They were much more terrifying than the insect corpses he had found last time. Bad guy, how is it? You haven't seen these ancient insect corpses, right? The alchemists of our Ding clan have studied these things. Although they don't know what these ancient insect corpses can do, they're definitely effective in healing injuries. I brought Bad Guy here this time to see if these things can be used to refine more powerful pills. Ding Liu looked at the surprised expression on Guopai's face and said with a smile, Powerful elixirs, of course, could be refined into powerful elixirs. Since the discovery of the demon insects' corpses, several human experts had told Guo Shuai about the demon insects. Soul-devouring pill, demon breath pill, spirit-shattering pill, and some other highly toxic elixirs were all related to the demon insects' corpses. Brother, who gave you this thing? Guopai didn't answer Ding Liu's question. Instead, he asked in a soft voice. An unknown rogue cultivator from the East Sea. He said that he accidentally found this thing when he was excavating a new cave mansion. For such a big box of treasures, I only spent 100,000 mid-grade ores. Bad guy, what do you think? This time, your brother has made a big profit. Ding Liu said with a complacent look on his face. You have made a big profit. Indeed, you have made a big profit, Guopai said with a smile. He took out a wingless devil insect corpse from his body and handed it to Ding Liu. Brother, take a look at this thing. Does it look similar to your ancient insect corpses? Ding Liu looked at the devil insect corpse that Guopai handed to him with a surprised look on his face. Bad guy, I thought that I had found something that you had never seen before. It turns out that you have one as well. However, your ancient insect corpse doesn't have wings, and its aura doesn't seem to be as strong as mine. Bad guy, since you have this thing, you should know how to use it to refine medicine. It would be a waste for me to keep this box of treasures in the auction house. Take it and give it to me. I can use it to refine pills, Ding Liu said with a smile. Brother Liu, how many people in the East Sea know about this ancient insect corpse? Also, that rogue cultivator you mentioned, where is he now? Can you find him? Guopai asked in a soft voice. He has already left. As for where he is now, I really don't know. Generally, when people come to our auction house to trade, we are not allowed to ask about the origin of the items. This is the rule of the auction house. As for this insect corpse, Other than a few elders and alchemists of our Ding family, I have not told anyone else. Ding Liu seemed to have realized that something was wrong and said in a soft voice, Brother Liu, there are some things that I must tell you. Don't be nervous and don't make a fuss. Let me finish first. Guo Pai's serious expression made Ding Liu feel that this matter was really serious. It seemed to be related to his pile of treasures. Bad guy, if you have something to say, just say it directly. Is there a problem with these ancient insect corpses? Ding Liu asked in a soft voice. Guo Pai nodded and began to tell Ding Liu about the ancient demon insects. Of course, Guo Pai did not tell Ding Liu about some great demons. Even so, Ding Liu was still frightened and broke out in a cold sweat. Bad guy, what should I do now? Many alchemists of our Ding family have used their bodies to test the medicine. Is there any way to save them? Ding Liu asked with a trace of annoyance. Gather all the people of the Ding family who have come into contact with these demon insect corpses. I will take a look at them. If I can save them, I will think of a way. If I can't save them, then there is no other way. Guo Pai said softly. Also, send someone to find the whereabouts of that itinerant cultivator. It would be best if they could find him. I don't know how many demon insect corpses there are. Once someone in the East Sea comes into contact with these things, the East Sea will be in trouble. Ding Liu and Guo Pai walked out of the treasure vault. The two of them, who were originally happy, had gloomy expressions. The group of people from the Ding family did not know what had happened, but they did not dare ask. Third uncle, go and gather all the people who have come into contact with the insect corpses I told you about last time in the open space in front of the auction house. Ding Liu said softly to Ding Rulong. Seeing that Ding Liu's expression was not good, Ding Rulong did not ask any more questions. He hurriedly went to gather the alchemists of the auction house and those who had taken the insect corpses. Third elder, fifth elder, do you still remember the person called Yi Qing Feng who sent the big box last time? Send someone to find the whereabouts of this person. Bad guy has something to ask him. Ding Liu said softly to the two elders. Liu, this is a little against the rules of the auction house, the third elder said softly. Go. I will take responsibility if anything happens. Chapter 6:27. Ding Liu arranged everything and took Guo Pai to a place in the auction house that was rarely visited by ordinary people. Even the people from the elder's mansion did not know who lived in this place. Bad guy, the person we're going to meet is my master. Very few people in the auction house, and even the entire Ding family, know about my master's existence. I think you can talk to my master about this matter. Ding Liu said softly. Guo Pai nodded. The two of them walked to a very simple place. However, the array outside the house made Guo Pai feel that the person living inside was not ordinary. Liu, bring Liu in. Recently, I have divined that the Ding family will face some calamities, but a benefactor will help us. I think the benefactor is little you in front of us. A deep voice came from the house. The array outside the house opened automatically. Guo Pai and Ding Liu walked in. Master! Ding Liu knelt on the ground and shouted respectfully. Get up, Guo Pai and little you. Sit anywhere you like. An old man stood in the middle of the house, looked at the two of them, and said with a smile, Old master, do we know each other? Your body has an aura that I used to be very familiar with. Guo Pai felt a familiar feeling in his heart from the moment he walked into the room. With your age, we should not know each other. Ding Liu's master was stunned at first. Then, he shook his head and said, How should I address you, old master? Maybe someone in our Tiandao sect knows you. Guo Pai asked with a smile. Yuan Tiangang. I don't know if anyone in Lil Yu's sect knows me. The old man said softly. His voice was not loud, but Guo Pai and Ding Liu heard it clearly. Master, master, you are Yuan Tiangang. Your name is like the bright moon that covers 1,000 autumns, and your voice is like spring thunder that shakes the past and present. How is this possible? Ding Liu said with his eyes wide open. He couldn't imagine that the old man he accidentally saved in the East Sea was Yuan Tiangang of the Tang dynasty, a godlike existence. However, If his master was really from the Tang dynasty, how old was his master now? He should be more than 1,000 years old. Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng often get together and talk about the world. Together, they lay back to back on the ground, one writing and the other drawing, leaving behind a miraculous book of prophecy for future generations. No wonder there was a familiar feeling. I can't call you old master anymore, Guo Pai said with a smile. Little you are an old friend? Yuan Tiangang was stunned and asked softly, Brother Luoyu, I have something to say to your master. It's not that I don't want you to know, but there are some things that will have a bad impact on you if you know. Brother, stay aside first, Guo Pai said and directly pulled Ding Luoyu into another space. Although the three of them could see each other, Ding Luoyu couldn't hear what Guo Pai and his master were talking about. Little friend, now that there are no outsiders, just the two of us, you can say whatever you want to say, Yuan Tiangang said with a smile. He felt that Guo Pai was very special, but he couldn't figure out what kind of intersection this Guo Pai had with himself. Old Yuan, I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you? Guo Pai's voice suddenly changed and became the voice of Chun Qing Yuan. Yuan Tiangang widened his eyes and said, Old Yuan, I haven't seen you for 1,000 years. Can't you recognize my voice? Impossible. How is this possible? You are Brother Qing Yuan. You are Chun Qing Yuan of the Chun village. Yuan Tiangang asked with a trembling body. He couldn't imagine that he would meet his close friend Chun Qing Yuan here. No, it should be the reincarnation of Chun Qing Yuan. Nothing is impossible. Old Yuan, how did you end up like this? When I ascended to the heaven realm, you and Brother Chunfeng couldn't be officials in the heavenly court because of the asterisk, but you should live a free life as an individual immortal. How could you be in the human world? Guo Pai asked softly. After you ascended to the heaven realm, Chunfeng and I lived a free life. Until one day, we met a great Buddha. He talked about Buddhism and Taoism with us. Our days were very fulfilling. We talked about Taoism every day for 3 years. Yuan Tiangang said softly. And then? Guo Pai asked softly. Then he asked Chunfeng and me to continue writing the asterisk. At that time, we didn't think much about it. We thought that as long as we didn't tell anyone about the asterisk, it would be fine for us to write it. Until the heavenly court sent someone to find us again. Yuan Tiangang said softly, as if he was thinking of the past again. Yuan Tiangang, Li Chunfeng, are you two really as good as the rumors say? Can you foresee everything? An old man came to Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng's residence. He looked at the two people who were writing the asterisk and said with a smile, How do I address you? How do you know us? Yuan Tiangang stopped writing and asked softly, You can calculate everything in the world. Don't you know who I am? The old man continued, I want to make a bet with you. If you can calculate what I'm going to do next, you can continue your current asterisk. If you can't, you can stop. That day, Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng were also competitive. Although they knew that the other party didn't come with good intentions, they weren't afraid of him. The old man squinted his eyes and stood on the stairs. He looked at Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng and asked loudly, Can you calculate? Can you calculate whether I'm going upstairs or downstairs? Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng looked at the old man and shook their heads gently. The old man didn't come with good intentions. It seemed that he was really here to cause trouble. You don't even dare to calculate such a simple thing. If you can't calculate it clearly, you still dare to reveal the secrets of heaven here. Don't you think it's ridiculous? The old man looked at the two and said loudly, Are you not convinced? Then I will give you another chance. As he spoke, the old man walked to the front of a big tree and asked the two, I want to leave. Do you think I should go from the left or the right of the tree? Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng looked at each other and nodded. One of them pointed to the left and the other pointed to the right. Then they looked at the old man. Open up, the old man said loudly. The big tree split from the middle. The old man walked through the middle. After he walked through the middle, the big tree closed up again. I will go back through the middle. You can't even calculate such a thing clearly. Do you still dare to continue the asterisk? Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng only realized at this time that even if the two of them didn't leak the asterisk, they had already leaked the secrets of heaven. This old man was sent by the heavenly court. You have lost. Take care of yourselves. After the old man finished speaking, just as he was about to leave, the monk appeared in front of the three of them. Brother Yuan and Brother Li can't calculate it. Can you? Didn't you calculate that there will be a disaster in the human world this time? The monk looked at the old man and asked. The old man looked at the monk in front of him. Just as he was about to say something, he saw a monk's staff hit his head hard. Chapter 628. No. The old man looked at the staff, hitting his head fiercely. Unable to retreat, he roared, and his primordial spirit escaped from his body. Yuan Tiangang, Li Chunfeng, it's already a big crime for you to continue writing the Book of Enlightenment. The Jade Emperor thought that it wasn't easy for you to cultivate, so he asked me to persuade you to stop. It's fine if you don't listen, but now you're colluding with the devil race to disturb the heaven secret. This is unforgivable. Just you wait. The old man's primordial spirit shouted at them. Devil race? Old mister, isn't that a bit too much? Li Chunfeng was stunned and asked the old man's primordial spirit loudly. Two ignorant guys, don't you know that the monk beside you? Before the old man's primordial spirit could finish his words, the monk's staff hit the old man's primordial spirit again. This time, his primordial spirit was destroyed, and the old man couldn't be more dead. Undying holy monk, why did you kill him? Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng asked the monk when they saw the old man's primordial spirit being destroyed. Can't you hear that the heavenly court wants to convict you? He also wants to sow discord between you and me. Of course, I have to kill him. Undying shook his head and said, Originally, I just wanted to let you two deduce the past and present. I didn't expect to bring you so much trouble. I'm leaving. From that day onwards, Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng never saw Undying again. It wasn't until a long time later, when the Book of Enlightenment appeared in the human world, that Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng realized that the Book of Enlightenment they sealed that day was gone. Because of the Book of Enlightenment in the human world, the heavenly court naturally found Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng. Li Chunfeng's primordial spirit was destroyed by the heavenly thunder. Yuan Tiangang relied on a magic treasure to leave behind a trace of his primordial spirit and escaped the disaster. Yuan Tiangang told his story to Guopai in detail. Guopai also told Yuan Tiangang about his own story. Of course, he didn't tell Yuan Tiangang that he was banished to the lower realm for peeping on a fairy taking a bath. However, Yuan Tiangang was obviously in a good mood since he could meet Chun Qingyuan in the human world. Old Yuan, take this elixir first. Your current body can't satisfy your primordial spirit. After a few days, I will find a way to get you a body. Guopai, Yuan Tiangang, he couldn't help but tremble. If Guopai could find a suitable body, under the rules of the human world, he wouldn't be afraid of the heavenly court people to find trouble with him. Could it be that you and Brother Chunfeng didn't find out who stole the nun in the end? Guopao asked softly. Have you ever suspected that holy monk Undying? To the holy, it can't be him. If he wants to get asterisk, he can ask us directly. We will definitely give it to him. Yuan Tiangang shook his head and said, But what if Bunye thinks that the words of that old man from the celestial court made you suspect him, and he is indeed a member of the demon race, and was afraid that you wouldn't give him the jade pendant, so he stole himself? Is there such a possibility? Guopai continued to ask. Chunfeng said the same thing at the beginning, but with immortal strength, there was no need to steal the vermilion bird. His ability to deduce the future is not inferior to Chunfeng and me, Yuan Tiangang said softly. Doubt arose in his heart again. Guopai shook his head. Many people didn't understand why the heavenly court sent people to look for Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng. The two of them couldn't even reach the bottom line of immortals. What impact could they have on the human world and the heavenly court? Guopai found a clue from the tomes of Arcane as to why the heavenly court valued Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng so much. Although Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng couldn't even reach the bottom line of immortals, The two of them had a relationship with a name often mentioned in the tomes of Arcane. Tianjizi. The Immortals called him Tianji Laozi. Everything in the world had Tianji. The Immortals in heaven more or less knew some methods of calculation, but there were very few real calculation masters in the three realms. Tianji Laozi would choose his own successor in the three realms. Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng were the inheritors of Tianji Laozi. Their jade pendant would have an impact on the way of heaven at that time. No wonder the heavenly court valued the two of them so much. When it comes to deduction, no one can compare with you and Chunfeng. If I'm not wrong, the vermilion bird was stolen by Bumie, Guo Pai said softly. What's the purpose of Bumie stealing the vermilion bird? Yuan Tiangang asked, puzzled. He also wanted to find an answer to his thousand-year doubts. What's the purpose? Old Yuan, if Bumie is a holy monk of the Buddhism sect, then it's fine. But if Bumie is really a demon like the old man in the heavenly court said, what's the use of him stealing the vermilion bird? Guo Pai asked back. In the past, Chunfeng and I calculated that if the demon got the vermilion bird, then there would be a great calamity in the human world, Yuan Tiangang said softly. But the calamity we calculated in the past would come very quickly. But 1,000 years have passed. There can't be any calamity in the human world. A day in heaven is a year in the human world. Time passes quickly. Maybe it's not calculated according to the time in the human world, Guo Pai said softly. Yuan Tiangang opened his eyes wide. If everything is as Brother Qingyuan said, that Bumie is a demon, then he will steal the vermilion bird, and then he will disturb the mysteries of heaven. Then the great demon will run rampant in the human world, and the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. All these sins will be caused by Chunfeng and me. We are the sinners of the human world, Yuan Tiangang murmured. Old Yuan, you think too much. Didn't you calculate that if you and I can meet again, it is possible to avoid this calamity? Guo Pai said softly. Yuan Tiangang's eyes fell on Guo Pai. Qingyuan, what are you going to Dong Hai for this time? Yuan Tiangang asked softly. The demon race. Now, something big is going to happen in the human world. I have been in the mortal world for less than 7 years, and I have fought with the people of the demon race many times, Guo Pai said softly. After Guo Pai finished speaking, Yuan Tiangang sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. Guo Pai did not disturb him. After about 10 minutes, Yuan Tiangang opened his eyes and looked at Guo Pai. His eyes seemed to emit golden light, which made Guo Pai a little embarrassed. Guo Pai, you are Guo Pai. Haha, everything has a cause and effect. You are not Chen Qingyuan, you are Guo Pai. Yuan Tiangang said with a laugh. Originally, when he woke up from meditation, Yuan Tiangang's breath suddenly weakened, but now Yuan Tiangang was very excited. Old Yuan, what does all this have to do with me? Guo Pai was stunned and asked softly. Tianji F***CK Tianji. If there was no sex between me and Chunfeng, the demon race would have been finished long ago, and it would not be to this point now, Yuan Tiangang said with a smile. Variable Guo Pai, you're the only variable in the human world. Guo Pai was stunned, completely stunned. For the things that happened in recent years, Guo Pai only guessed that someone was playing a big game of chess, but he did not expect that he was so important. Guo Pai, whatever you do now, just do as you want. You don't have to worry about my physical body. Let my good disciple out. See the guest out. Chapter 629. Guo Pai let Ding Luoyu out. Ding Luoyu looked at Guo Pai blankly. Although he could see Guo Pai talking to his master for the past 4 hours, he did not know what had happened. All he knew was that he heard his master say the 2 words, see the guests out. Bad guy, let's go out first. Although Ding Luoyu did not know what his master had talked about with Guo Pai, it was better to take Guo Pai out first. Guo Pai did not object, and the 2 of them walked out of the mysterious house. Brother Liu, we should have found all the people who came into contact with the insect corpses. Let's go take a look at them first, Guo Pai said with a smile. Ding Luoyu was even more confused. He had taken Guo Pai out, but Guo Pai was not angry. What did he talk about with his master? Since Guo Pai did not say anything, Ding Luoyu did not ask too much. The two of them walked towards the open space in front of the auction house. When the two of them arrived, Guopai was shocked. There were more than 100 people in the Ding family auction house who had come into contact with the eternal demon insect corpses. It seemed that things were worse than he had imagined. Young master, everyone who came into contact with the insect corpses is here. An old man ran in front of Ding Liu and said softly, Young master, I don't know why you called us here. The insect corpses you gave us that day have been used up. They're definitely good stuff. Do you still have them? Give us some more time, and we will be able to refine at least heaven-grade pills. In the crowd, an old man said loudly to Ding Liu, Everyone, please calm down. Let me introduce someone to you. Ding Liu pointed at Guopai and said, Tiandao sect master, Guopai. The pills and prescriptions I gave you last time were all given by sect master Guopai. Today, he has something to tell you. Ding Liu said loudly. His expression was not relaxed because Guopai had told him earlier that it would be fine if they could deal with the corpse poison, but if they couldn't, then they would all die. Sect leader Guopai, do you have any other prescriptions? We can buy them with spirit stones, a pharmacist said loudly to Guopai. Everyone, let me finish first. I have some bad news for you. I hope you don't panic. Guopai took a deep breath and spoke softly to the crowd. Hearing Guopai's bad news and looking at Ding Liu's expression, the atmosphere suddenly became tense and the whole square quieted down. Some time ago, the auction house accidentally received a worm corpse. It's highly toxic, slow-acting. Guopai held an ancient demon worm in his hand and said softly to the crowd, I don't know what you are doing with these worm corpses. Now, I need to check them one by one. If I can expel the poison, I will do my best to save you. If I can't expel the poison to prevent infection, I will be the bad guy. As Guopai's voice fell, the whole square became even quieter. However, it was only for a short period of time before the crowd started to panic. No, you can't do this, young master. This is Guopai's scheme. These worm corpses are not gambling. Look at us. Aren't we fine for so long? You can't listen to Guopai. A middle-aged man shouted at Ding Liu. This thing appeared in the mainland a few months ago. The incubation period of the poison is very long. You are fine now, but that doesn't mean you won't be in trouble in the future. Now, I will check you one by one. If there is a glimmer of hope, I will do my best to save you. Guopai said loudly. However, the crowd became even more chaotic than before. Let me go, I didn't touch that thing. Let me go, I don't King need to be checked by this Guopai. What right does he have to decide our life and death with just one sentence? He didn't do anything to our Ding family. Young master, say something. Someone in the crowd shouted again. At this time, several elders of the Ding family frowned. They didn't expect Ding Liu to gather these people for such a thing. Young master, I have something to say to you. An elder of the auction house called Ding Liu aside and said softly. Ding Liu nodded and was pulled aside by the elder. Can this Guopai be trusted? If those bug corpses are really good things, and he wants to keep them for himself, we will lose both our wives and soldiers. The elder whispered to Ding Liu. Bad guy also has bug corpses. You should know his strength. He doesn't need to lie to me because of these things. With his personality, he won't rashly kill people because of these things. Ding Liu said softly. We only made a deal with him once. That was more than a year ago. The elder whispered. Just give him the bug corpses. These people of the Ding family can't die. If they die, I'm afraid it will be difficult to explain to the patriarch. Ding Liu nodded after hearing the elder's words. He quickly walked to Guopai's side. Bad guy, can the infected people not die? Ding Liu whispered. These pharmacists are the top pharmacists of the Ding family. If something happens to them, it will be difficult for me to explain it to the patriarch. Guopai could not help but shake his head after hearing Ding Liu's words. The current sect was different from when he was in the past. When the plague broke out in the world, several large sects killed all the infected people overnight. It was not because the patriarch was ruthless. The dead people were killed so that others could live better. Prepare an isolation area. If I can cure them, I will do my best to treat them. If I can't cure them, you can send them to the isolation area first. However, you must remember one thing. Don't let them escape. If the poison really breaks out, Not only the Ding family, but the entire East Sea will be in big trouble. Guo Pai whispered. If they could not die, Ding Liu hurriedly nodded. Then, he arranged for people to set up a courtyard in the westernmost part of the auction house. All the people that Guo Pai could not cure were sent to the courtyard. If they could not die, the people of the Ding family would not say anything. Guo Pai diagnosed the people in the auction house. He spent an entire afternoon. Of the 93 people who had come into contact with the corpses of the worms, 51 of them had already entered their heart meridians and could not force the corpse poison out. For the remaining 42 people, Guo Pai gave them elixirs to temporarily prevent the corpse poison from entering their bodies. Liu, leave these medicinal herbs in the East Sea. After you find someone to refine them, find a cold place and put them away. Besides the people in the auction house, distribute the rest to the people who came to the auction house recently. If anything happens, send someone to find me in the imperial capital. Guo Pai whispered. Ding Liu nodded. Looks like I have to find time to set up a teleportation array in the EC. If something really happens, I can rush there immediately. Before Guo Pai left, he set up a teleportation array not far from the EC auction house. After fiddling with the array, Guo Pai took Guo Hua, Qi Yun, and Li Feng and flew toward Shu Mountain. Chapter 630. That night, Guo Pai and the other two rushed to the Wuji Peak. A bad premonition appeared in Guo Pai's mind. Guo Hua also frowned. Come, let's go to the Divine Martial Palace to take a look. Guo Hua, remember my words. No matter what happens, don't be impulsive. Guo Pai said softly. Guo Pai nodded. The array outside Shushan Mountain was opened by Guo Pai once again. The four of them quickly flew into Shushan Mountain. Bad master, something is wrong. Why is there such a strong smell of blood in Shushan Mountain? Guo Hua frowned and asked. Qi Yun and Li Feng also clenched their fists. There was something wrong with the Martial Palace. Brother Qi, Brother Li, let's split up and see if there are any survivors in Shushan Mountain. Guo Pai's words made Guo Hua's eyes widen. According to Guo Pai, Shushan Mountain had been annihilated. How could this be? Let's go to the Medicine Tower. Guo Pai said and flew towards the Medicine Tower with Guo Hua. The array outside the Medicine Tower was broken. Guo Pai's face turned even uglier. Guo Pai and Guo Hua entered the Medicine Tower and flew all the way to the top of the Medicine Tower. They didn't find any traces of the two fire mythological beasts and the big fire. Guo Pai's heart was in a mess. If something happened to the Medicine Tower, then Shushan Mountain was really finished. Guo Pai didn't say much and brought Guo Hua back to the Divine Martial Palace to see if Guo Pai and Li Feng had found anything. Just as the two of them returned to the Divine Martial Palace, Qi Yun and Li Feng also flew towards Guo Pai from afar. No people, no corpses. Qi Yun shook his head and said, Such a big sect, not a single living thing is left. Something big must have happened. Yeah, even if a sect was annihilated, I haven't seen such a clean scene. We only left for a little more than a day. Who could have such strength? Li Feng shook his head and said, I will go to the returning rest platform to take a look. I wonder if the returning rest platform has been destroyed by someone. Guo Pai finished speaking and flew towards the returning rest platform. This time, the few people did not follow. Guo Pai placed a few jade cores in the 8 rooms of the returning rest platform. After his spiritual sense entered the returning rest platform, a virtual image appeared in front of Guo Pai. Guo Pai wanted to see what had happened to Shu Mountain, but the returning rest platform had also been tampered with. There were only 16 big words on the virtual image. Exterminate Shu Mountain first, then exterminate Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Wudong. Leave no one alive. The blood-red words seemed to know that Guo Pai wanted to use the rest returning platform to check on the situation of Shushan. They were blatantly provoking Guo Pai. Little bad, what's going on? Qi Yun and the other two looked at Guo Pai with an ugly expression. They could not help but fly up to the resting platform and look at the virtual image. Someone wants to deal with Wu Xiao of the human world. The human world is going to be in chaos. Guo Pai said softly, The 5 demons have gathered and the world is in chaos. What was recorded in the heavenly book back then is going to happen. What should we do? Let's go to Mountain now. Maybe we can find out who is causing trouble? Guo was said coldly. Shu Mountain had been exterminated, and his parents and brothers were nowhere to be found. Guo's only thought now was to find out who had done these things. Let's go back to the imperial capital. If someone can really exterminate Shu Mountain in a day, we are no match for this group of people. Let's go back first and think of a way. Guo Pai finished speaking, and Guo Hua did not object. The four of them left Shu Mountain and flew in the direction of the imperial capital. It seems that father was right to be able to remain so calm in the face of such a disaster. If the demon race's plan fails this time, the biggest variable will be this mind-reading perfected lord. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, four men and a woman sat around a round table. They were looking at a crystal ball. The crystal ball showed the situation of Guo Pai and the rest in Shu Mountain. It's a pity that our real bodies can't break out of the array. Otherwise, even if all the immortals of the heavenly court descended to the human world, we can take care of them all, let alone a mind-reading perfected lord. One of Poison Demon's doppelgangers said loudly. Third brother, whether or not we can get out of here is all up to you. If the ancient demon bug can awaken, these formations that are sealing us up here are nothing but **T. I wonder when the ancient demon bug will be able to wake up? Shwamai chuckled out. When you mention the ancient demonic bugs, I get angry. Back then, I said that we should crush these bugs' corpses into powder and use the air to spread them across the human world. In less than 10,000 years, the ancient demonic bugs will definitely wake up. By then, we can break the array that seals us and get out. Now that the human world and the heavens have long been the territory of the demon race, we don't have to go through so much trouble, Poison Demon said loudly. Third brother, according to what you said, you're prepared to revive the ancient demonic bugs at the cost of everything in the world. This is the evil in your heart. If you can't get rid of the evil in your heart, you will forever be stuck at the sage realm. Just as Poison Demon finished speaking, another person appeared in the room. It was an old man. The five of them stopped talking. Father, why are you here? Dream Demon looked at the old man and asked softly, let's see if you continue to do anything out of line. I've said it before, everything in the human world has to be done according to the rules of the human world. You can't break the rules of the human world. Otherwise, the rise of the demon race will be ruined. Our billions of demon soldiers will end up as the merits of the human race and the god race. The old man's voice wasn't loud, but reached the ears of the demons. Father is right. We won't do anything rash. The great demons nodded and said, we have already endured for hundreds of thousands of years. We don't lack time. The day of the final battle is getting closer. Don't expose our strength so easily. When the time comes, I will help you break the seal. Today, I called you all here to give you a reminder. If the demon race cannot rise again, you will all die. After saying that, the old man disappeared from the room. Big brother, I feel like father is being too cautious this time. I don't know how many demon soldiers you have, but I already have millions of demon soldiers. As long as I can get out, I can use all of them. I don't believe there are that many wuxio in the human world that can stop the rise of the demon race. Lustful Demon said loudly. Millions of demon soldiers? Do you know how many demon soldiers Fifth Sister has? 30 million? Do you think she is as arrogant as you? You must remember what father said. Otherwise, if something really happens, don't blame me for not caring about our brotherhood. Dream Demon said loudly to the four of them. Big brother, if I didn't help you this time, your clone wouldn't have been able to come out. It's fine if father taught us a lesson, but with your current strength, don't say that I look down on you. You don't have the ability to do that. Lustful Demon did not buy Dream Demon's words. Fourth brother, look at me. Dream Demon did not get angry. Instead, he smiled and said to Lustful Demon, Big brother, let go of fourth brother. If you two want to fight, wait until your real body comes out. Although they were both clones, Lustful Demon fell into Dream Demon's dreamland the moment he looked at Dream Demon. If Medicine Demon did not stop him, Lustful Demon's clone would have died in Dream Demon's dreamland. You are really my good big brother. You almost killed me. The lustful demon squinted his eyes and said, but I hope that when our true bodies break through the formation, you'll still have such strength. Second brother, third brother, Shu Mountain is already settled. Big brother doesn't dare to play with you anymore. If you guys don't dare, then hurry up and leave. I'll play with this little immortal. With that, the lustful demon disappeared. Chapter 631. Guopai and the others left Mount Shu and flew towards the imperial capital at full speed. This time, the commotion they caused was even more intense. Many rogue cultivators once again exclaimed at the aura of Guopai and the others. Bad guy, did anything happen this time? Yu could not help but ask when she saw that Guopai's expression was very ugly when they returned. I've divined a few times recently, but the heavenly secrets were deceived, and I didn't find anything. Let's talk inside. Go and call all the old masters over. There's something important to discuss, Guopai said softly. Yu walked towards the Gu family. Not long after, the room was filled with people. Everyone, take a look at this thing first. Guopai saw that almost everyone had arrived. He took out the virtual image obtained from the resting platform and placed it in front of everyone. First, Mount Shu, then Mount Mao, Kunlun, and Wudong. None of them will be left alive. Little bad. Could it be that Mount Shu has been wiped out? Li Shixin could not help but ask when he saw the 16 words on the virtual image. I'm not sure if it has been wiped out or not. Anyway, there's no living thing in Mount Shu now. Not a single corpse has been found, Guopai said softly. Then what are we waiting for now? Let's go to Mount Mao, or go directly to Kunlun. We'll know who did this to Mount Shu, Qiu Daoyuan said loudly. As soon as Qiu Daoyuan's words fell, the group of people looked at Guopai in unison. We originally wanted to go directly to Mount Mao, but later we dispelled this idea. They can turn Mount Shu into this state in one day. How strong must they be? I don't dare to take the risk to go to Mount Mao. I'm afraid that this is a conspiracy of the devil race, Guopai said softly. Little bad, let's go together. In the face of absolute strength, I don't believe that the devil race can play any tricks. It's been more than 100,000 years, but it's still the same. Just hearing about the devil race makes my hands itch, Qiu Daoyuan said loudly. Uncle Qiu, Uncle Ao, Uncle Shui, Junior Brother Tong Yuan, Third Prince, the five of you follow me to Mount Mao. If something happens to Mount Mao, we'll go to Kunlun and see if we can find out who did it. The rest of you stay in Bugyaku. We've fought the devil race so many times in recent years. Bugyaku, Guopai said softly. Master Bat, take me with you. After Guoshua finished speaking, the group of old men nodded. The 5 people that Guoshua had called out could be considered the strongest lineup of Bubu Medical Hall. Given the strength of the others, defending Bubu Medical Hall should not be a problem. However, Guohua suddenly stepped forward and spoke softly. All right, there's no time to lose. We'll set off now, Guopai said softly. I'll leave the matters of the family to you. After saying that, the 7 of them brought out their magic treasures. At any rate, there was a magic array protecting Bugyaku's backyard, and no one could see what was going on inside. The group then flew towards Mount Mao. Just what is going on? Just how many experts does Huaxia have? The auras of Guopai and the others once again aroused the discussion of Wuxiu all over the world. Even the 4 great demon avatars at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean could sense traces of powerful auras. Fourth bro is in trouble. That self-righteous fellow. It's good for him to lose this avatar. That way, he won't know how strong he is in the future, Dream Demon said loudly. Guopai and the others pushed their speed to the limit when they arrived at Mount Mao. However, when they arrived at Mount Mao, the scene before them shocked Guopai. The great protective array of Mount Mao was no longer able to provide any protection. Mount Mao, which was originally filled with spiritual energy, no longer had any trace of life. However, unlike Mount Shu, Mount Mao was littered with corpses. Seeing that caused the faces of Guopai and the others to turn grim. Boss, they've been dead for 3 days. We've been deceived. They went to Mount Mao first before going to Mount Shu. A bunch of bastards. Guotong Yuan said loudly. Let's go. We'll split up. Lord Water, take junior brother and the third prince to Kunlun. The others, follow me to Wudong, Guo Pai said, gritting his teeth. The group then left Mount Mao, which was littered with corpses. As soon as they left, some rogue cultivators who were not far from Mount Mao climbed up Mount Mao. Then, the entire cultivation world of Huaxia fell into chaos. Mount Mao was massacred. The aura of the powerhouse came from Bugyaku. Mount Shu was massacred. The last person who left Mount Shu disappeared in Bugyaku. The powerhouse from Bugyaku left Mount Mao and headed to Kunlun and Wudong. Guopai and the others naturally did not know about the rumors outside. However, many Wuxiu cultivators had already found Bugyaku. Little girl, we need an explanation. Or we need Dojo Master Guopai to come out. We know that he is not only the Dojo Master of Bugyaku, but also the sect master of Tiandao sect. We know that your Tiandao sect is indeed powerful. However, you destroyed Mount Shu and then Mount Mao. You should give us an explanation. A few rogue cultivators were arguing with you in the backyard of Bugyaku. We know that something happened to Mount Shu. Brother Bad Guy did bring people from Tiandao sect to Mount Mao. However, they didn't go there to kill people. They went there to save people. I don't know what you mean. You said softly to everyone. Tiandao sect didn't hide their aura at all. They went back and forth between the imperial capital and Mount Shu in Mount Mao. What else do you want us to say? Now, we can't find a single person in Mount Shu. Mount Mao is covered in corpses. You said that you went there to save people. Is this how you save people? Ask Guopai to come out. We want to confront him face to face. Another Wuxiu shouted loudly, facing the questioning of a group of Wuxiu. Although these Wuxiu were not strong, you couldn't do anything to them. They had been clamoring to see Guopai and ask him for an explanation. However, Guopai was not in the medical center. The medical center was really in chaos. Not only were there a few Wuxiu in front of her in the enlightened stage, but Wuxiu from all over Huaxia also arrived at Bugyaku one after another. Brother Bad Guy and the others were fooled. This time, they are in trouble. After comforting the group of Wuxiu again, Yu couldn't help but whisper softly. Although these old people were strong, they couldn't do anything to a group of Wuxiu. It was not easy to get some good karma in the human world. They didn't want to use their good karma because of a group of Wuxiu's ignorance. Guopai brought Xiu Daoyuan, Ao Feng, and Guohua to Mount Wudang. Mount Wudang's defensive formation was not broken, which made Guopai feel relieved. They directly broke the formation and entered Mount Wudang. Although Mount Wudang sect leader and Guopai had never met, he knew Guopai. He happily led Guopai and the others to the reception room. What? Sect leader was said that Mount Shu and Mount Mao were destroyed? How is that possible? Mount Shu and Mount Mao are two of the top sects in Huaxia. Who has such ability? Mount Wudang sect leader Zhang Tianyang shook his head and said, a few days ago, I did feel the aura of an expert coming from the imperial capital to Mount Shu. However, it seems that no one in the imperial capital can destroy Mount Shu. A few days ago, the sect leaders of Mount Shu and Sword Chi sects came to Bugyaku to look for me. Later, I followed them to Mount Shu. Mount Shu was poisoned by the people of the East Sea's exquisite refinement sect. So, I want to look for the East Sea's exquisite refinement sect. However, when everything was settled and I returned to Mount Shu, I found that Mount Shu had been destroyed. Guopai said softly, Sect leader Gua, before you came to Mount Mao, you should have gone to Mount Mao, right? Why don't you explain to me what happened at Mount Mao? Zhang Tianyang asked with narrowed eyes. Chapter 632. Looking at Zhang Tianyang's expression, Guopai had already guessed what Zhang Tianyang was thinking. He had fallen into a trap. Since Wudong sect is fine, let's go to Kunlun. Guopai did not want to explain too much. He stood up and prepared to leave. At this time, Zhang Tianyang also stood up. Sect Master Gua, you have to explain this matter clearly. Why did you come to my Wudong sect this time? Also, what is your Heavenly Dao sect trying to do about the matter between Mount Shu and Mount Mao? Zhang Tanyang said loudly. 3 golden core experts and 1 core formation expert. Such a lineup is truly powerful. However, if you want to cause trouble in my Wudong sect, such strength might not be enough. Wudong sect disciples, listen up. Set up the formation. As Zhang Tianyang's voice fell, Guopai and the others were surrounded at the top of Wudong Mountain. Hundreds of Wudong sect disciples stared at Guopai and the others. This young master came to your Wudong sect with good intentions. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but you actually dare to attack me. Zhang Tianyang, if not for Wudong sect's founder, Taoist Sanfeng, I would have killed you directly. Guopai said, somewhat angrily. Just because Wudong sect was fine did not mean that Kunlun was fine. However, they were now surrounded by a group of Wudong sect disciples. Breaking the formation was easy, but it was difficult to not injure them. I think you came this time to scout out our Wudong sect before gathering people to attack us. You have the ambition of a wolf. First, use Bugyaku to create momentum in Huaxia. Then, one by one, you will annex the Wuxiu sect in Huaxia. Brat, your wishful thinking is a little too early, Zhang Tianyang said loudly to Guopai. Guopai looked at the group of Wudong sect disciples and said softly to Guopai, Bad master, don't waste time with them. Wudong sect is fine. Let's hurry to Kunlun before something unexpected happens. Guopai nodded. Just as he was about to attack the surrounding Wudong sect disciples, the formation outside Wudong Mountain was broken again. Guopai's heart tightened at first, but then he saw Shui Yunzi bringing Guotongyuan and the third crown prince to Wudong sect. Boss, Kunlun has been wiped out. Guotongyuan shouted loudly. Then, he realized that something was wrong. Why did a group of Wudong disciples surround his senior brother and the others? However, Guotongyuan did not expect that his words of Kunlun being exterminated would bring about an even worse chain reaction. Guopai, you're so ruthless. You actually sent people to Kunlun. What a great heavenly Tao sect. I know that our Wuxiu can't beat you, but even if we die, we'll drag your heavenly Tao sect's people down with us. We'll let the world Wuxiu see the ugly face of your heavenly Tao sect. As Zhang Tianyang spoke, a huge elephant tusk appeared in his hand. Guopai looked at the 9-tone elephant flute in Zhang Tianyang's hand and could not help but say, 9-tone elephant flute. This is the treasure that Zhang Sanfeng obtained in a desperate situation. He actually did not bring it to the heavenly court. I am Zhang Tianyang of Wudong. The extermination of Shushan, Maoshan, Kunlun, and Wudong was caused by heavenly Tao sect's Guopai. This person has wild ambitions. If we don't kill him, the world will fall into chaos, Zhang Tianyang said loudly to the 9-tone elephant flute. Guopai's face became completely gloomy. The 9-tone elephant flute was a magic weapon of little value, but it had an extremely powerful function. According to the records of the angels, before Zhang Sanfeng obtained the 9-tone elephant flute, this flute made of ivory only appeared once at the beginning of the War of Devils. At that time, the great devil planned to besiege the human world, and very few people knew about it. However, the opportunity of the devil race was obtained by the previous owner of a 9-tone elephant flute. At that time, that person used the 9-tone elephant flute to tell the world's Wuxiu about the demon-slaying war. One of the functions of this elephant flute was to transmit sound. Although Zhang Tianyang's voice was not loud, but through the 9-tone elephant flute, the entire Huaxia, and even the entire human world's Xiantian realm Wuxiu, could hear Zhang Tianyang's words. Let's go. Wudong, take care of yourselves. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. Then, with a wave of his hand, the martial arts disciples surrounding them fell to the ground. Guopai led Ao Feng and the others out of the encirclement and joined Shui Yunzi's group. Guopai, you can't escape. If you can't explain the matter of Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, and Kunlun clearly, the world's Wuxiu won't let you go, Zhang Tianyang said loudly. Taoist master Sanfeng was called a living immortal in the past. Although he sometimes went crazy 3 times a day, he wouldn't distort the truth and disturb people's hearts without any evidence. No wonder Wudong didn't make any achievements after Taoist master San Feng ascended to the heavenly realm. Fortunately, Wudong occupied Wudong Mountain, which was full of spiritual energy. This is the tragedy of the world's Wuxiu in Huaxia. After Guo Pai finished speaking, he left Wudong with a group of people without looking back. However, at this time, the imperial capital of Bugyaku was in chaos. Originally, after Guo Pai and the others left, more than 100 Wuxiu came to Bugyaku one after another. After Zhang Tianyang said those words, Yu could no longer calm the group of Wuxiu and Bugyaku, who were already somewhat agitated. Little girl, what else do you have to say? No wonder Guo Pai is not in Bugyaku. It turns out that he went to Kunlun and Wudong. What a good method. An old man looked at you and said loudly, Are we going to die when Guo Pai comes back? Stupid, you are really stupid. Since you don't believe in Bugyaku and Tiandao sect, you are worried that Guo Pai will come back and kill all of you. Hurry up and get out of here. You said loudly. She had never been so angry in the human world. Guo Pai was busy with the matter of the great demon, but the great demon didn't find trouble with them. On the contrary, these Wuxiu in the human world came to Bugyaku to find trouble. Senior Li Yuantai, the ugly face of Tiandao sect has been exposed. They must be a cult in the human world. Let's catch these people first. Otherwise, when Guo Pai comes back, I'm afraid we will really be in trouble. A middle-aged man who was already at the peak of the enlightening period said loudly to the old man, just now, and the others nodded. Do it. Don't kill them. Tie up all the people in Bugyaku. When the time comes, we can save our lives by using these people as hostages. Li Yuanhai shouted. The backyard of Bugyaku, which was already chaotic enough, was quarreling like a vegetable market. Wu Xiu had taken out his weapon and was ready to kill in the front yard of Bugyaku at any time to kidnap people. Little mother, what are these people doing? They are so noisy. Little Ming Ming came out of the house and saw a group of people in different clothes making a scene. She couldn't help but ask, Ling Imo, take Ming Ming into the house. Yu shook her head and said, A group of Wuxiu was uneven. The strongest was a master in the early stage of Gold Core, and the weakest was a person who had just entered the inborn realm. With little Ming's strength, Yu was not worried, but she was worried that the little girl would be angry and kill people by accident. It would be troublesome. Tie up the little girl. She's Guo Pai's daughter. With her as a hostage, Guo Pai will not dare to do anything to us. Someone in the crowd shouted, and everyone's eyes fell on little Ming Ming. Chapter 633. When you heard someone shouting that they wanted to tie up Xiao Ming Ming, her face suddenly became gloomy. This old lady was talking nicely to you all, but you all actually want to tie up Xiao Ming Ming. What made you completely explode was that there were actually a few experts in the fasting period who walked towards Xiao Ming Ming. Kong Fei, Fatuba, Ermao, Ao Yuan. Oh, you, tie up all these people for me. I'm so angry. They actually want to do something to Xiao Ming Ming. You shouted towards the courtyard outside. Several people who were practicing in the courtyard next to the reception room heard Er's voice and flew into the reception room. Big sister, what's the situation? Daju looked at Er's gloomy face, and asked softly, What else can there be? These guys are going to tie up Xiao Ming Ming to threaten you, bad guy. You guys do as you see fit. I'm so angry. I'm going out to get some fresh air. If you all can't handle these people, then you all can tie up Xiao Ming Ming and send her to them, so that they don't have to do anything. After finished speaking, she led Xiao Ming Ming out of the reception room. The people in the room looked at the 6 people and one monkey who suddenly broke into the room. At this time, Kong Fei, Daju, and the others' expressions were not much better than tying up Xiao Ming Ming. These people were really tired of living. The little girl was not only Guo Pai's reverse scale, because she followed these people all day long. The little girl's mouth was also sweet. She called them brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunties every day. They were originally a group of people who were saved by Guo Pai, so they had long regarded the little girl as their closest person. Today, this group of people in front of them actually wanted to tie up the little girl. How could they accept this? With just the six of you and one monkey, do you think you can deal with the people in this room? If you know what's good for you, quickly get out of here and call Wopai over. Otherwise, we will definitely make Bugyaka restless. When the people in the room saw you leave, they thought that she had called some people who were 8 feet tall and had 8 feet waists. After a long time, it was just a few young men and a monkey. Suddenly, the people in the room relaxed again. Ermao, let me tell you, the 2 old men here are the strongest. They're already at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. Boss said before, when dealing with a group, the power of a role model is great. You go and tie them up. Then the others will be easy. Futaba shrunk his body to the size of an ordinary monkey and sat on Ermao's shoulder and said softly, "Are you talking about the 2 old men inside?" Futaba's voice was not loud. Only a few people in front of him heard it. However, Ermao's voice became louder. He pointed his finger at the 2 old men in the innermost room. Originally, the 2 old men only came to Bugyaku to see what was going on. They did not want to have a conflict with Tiandao sect and Bugyaku. After all, when they cultivated to their level, unless they saw it with their own eyes, they would never believe it. At this time, they actually saw a young man pointing at them with his finger. Futaba followed the direction of Ermao's finger and also pointed at the 2 old men. Then he nodded. The 2 old men were even angrier. Even if they did not have a temper, Wu Xiao had been pointed at by others for so many years. What was even more infuriating was that there was a monkey pointing at him like this. "Hey, 2 old men, I'm talking about you." The 2 old men with red faces, "Come out. Let me tie you up so that I can report to my superiors." Ermao's words were like adding oil to the fire. The 2 old men rushed out of the crowd and looked at Ermao angrily. Just when Ermao and Futaba were pointing at the 2 old men, many people had already recognized who the 2 old men were. They were Elder Feng and Elder Feng of Mount Chilian. Huaxia and Wuxiao had not seen them before, but they had more or less heard their names. Today, they were provoked by a young man from Bugyaku. "What? Do you want to fight if we don't cooperate?" Ermao asked loudly. "If you want to fight, then go to the yard. Don't break the things in the room, or Sister Yu will definitely be angry." Ermao took the lead and walked out. "Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Then, Qi Zhanyun attacked. The master of the late stage of Gold Core disappeared from the crowd and appeared in front of Ermao in a flash. "Teach me a lesson on behalf of my elders? You don't have the qualifications. As for the height of the heavens and the depth of the earth, I might not know, but my ancestor must have known very well." Ermao didn't hesitate and punched the old man who had appeared in front of him. "Your old bones are really hard. Today, I'll help you loosen your bones." Ermao had been with Futaba recently. He did not learn any good habits, but his mouth was much better. "Ermao, you can only be the second master. I'm the first master." Futaba heard Ermao's words and shouted loudly. The people who were watching the fun all looked at Futaba. This little monkey could speak human language. There were so many strange things in Bugyaku. Although Ermao was only at the core formation stage, he was not at a disadvantage when facing Qi Zhanyun with the help of Guopai's treasures and some of Sun Wukong's fighting skills. "Zhanfeng, this kid is very strange. I'm not his opponent alone. Hurry up and attack. Let's work together to subdue him." Qi Zhanyun's heart sank as he fought. He clearly suppressed Ermao in terms of cultivation, but he could not gain the slightest advantage. In the end, he could not help but shout to Qi Zhanyu. Qi Zhanfeng's face turned redder when he heard his junior brother's words. The 2 of them had lived for hundreds of years. How could they work together to deal with a kid who was less than 20 years old? Even if they won, it would be a disgrace to the Wind and Cloud sect. "Why are you meddling in other people's business in Bugyaku? It's really unlucky. Let's subdue this kid first." Qi Zhanfeng shook his head and rushed to Ermao. "Ermao, use your staff to deal with them. It's 2 against 1. Why are you still being polite?" Futaba shouted at Ermao when he saw Qi Zhanfeng rushing to him. "Yes, I know. Brother Futaba, watch me deal with him with my staff." As Air Mao spoke, he reached for his waist. A few women in the crowd quickly turned their heads to the side. Even Aou's face turned red. Mao Tu asked Air Mao to use a stick. Why did he touch his waist? Could it be that he was going to use? The group of people began to think of something evil. Of course, Air Mao wasn't going to use his staff to deal with the wind and cloud elders. Originally, the pirated Jingu Bang was in his ear. However, every time he took it out, he couldn't hold it as elegantly as Guo Shui said. Therefore, Air Mao attached the miniature version of the Jingu Bang to his waist. When it was time to use it today, Air Mao realized that the Jingu Bang on his waist was stuck in his belt. Mao, I'm talking about that iron staff, not the other staff on your body. What the F Astra CK are you doing? You're really embarrassing us. Chapter 634. Futaba saw Air Mao untie his belt and couldn't help but curse loudly. Air Mao didn't take it seriously. I just untied my belt and took out my Jingu Bang. What's the big deal? The two old guys didn't fight me when I untied my belt. In fact, when the wind and cloud elders heard Futaba say 2 against 1, they felt a little ashamed. Naturally, they were waiting for Air Mao to take out his weapon. However, they didn't expect Air Mao to untie his belt. The two of them were stunned. What does this young man want to do? Is he really going to take out the thing that everyone has as a weapon? Big. Harry untied his belt. He didn't expect that the finger-sized golden cudgel would be stuck in his underwear that he hadn't worn for a long time. Along with his words, his underwear bulged, and the expressions of the group of people began to become rich. You guys wait. I'll take out the Jingu Bang and fight with you guys. At this time, Air Mao's face couldn't hold it anymore. He leaped and left the courtyard and returned to his own courtyard. Then, he took out the Jingu Bang from his underwear and returned to the courtyard of the reception room. Damn it, Monkey's face has been thrown away by you this time. If Sun Wukong knows that his successor is like this, he will probably beat this kid to death. Futaba looked at Air Mao, who appeared in front of everyone with disheveled clothes, and couldn't help but secretly say in his heart. However, what happened next was that Air Mao saved some face for the monkeys. Air Mao, who was holding a stick, only used a dozen rounds to subdue Elder Foam and Elder Foam. Then, he used his own belt to tie the two old men tightly. Hee, Brother Futaba, how is it? I did a good job. Air Mao picked up the wind and cloud elders and threw them beside Futaba, and said with a smile, Who else do you want to tie up? Tell me. Who else do you want to tie up? The others have to be tied up. Do you still have a belt to use? Futaba said loudly, Hurry up and get out of here. Go and change your clothes. Look at what you have done. Your clothes are disheveled. Shameful. Ahem. I'll go change my clothes first. Air Mao looked at his outfit and flew back to his room. However, Wu Xiao, who was in a room, saw that Elders Feng and Yun were tied up and thrown on the ground like dumplings. No one dared to say a word. Even Elders Feng and Yun, who were in the late Gold Core stage, were beaten to such a state by a young man in Bugyaku whom he had never seen before. Wouldn't he be beaten to death by that stick just now? Brother Zhu Zi, Brother Fei, let's tie them up. If Sister Yuer comes back and sees that we haven't tied them up properly, she might get angry. The knife in her hand is not something we can handle. Futaba said with a smile. Shuada Zhu and Kong Fei shuddered. Yes, Boss Yuer's temper is much worse than Boss. After saying that, the two of them apologized to everyone and began to tie up the group of people. The things used to tie them up were the things tied around their waists. The room was full of people, more than 100 wuxiao. Today was an extremely unforgettable day for them. They were tied up by a few children using their own belts. If word got out, they would lose a lot of face. Humph! They actually dared to have ideas about Xiao Meng Meng, a group of big bad guys. Futaba looked at the group of people and couldn't help but say, Brother Zhu Zi, you keep an eye on them. I'll go find Sister Yuer to check the goods and see how to deal with these people. After saying that, Futaba flew out. At this time, Air Mao returned to the reception room from his residence. When he saw a group of people tied up by his belt, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. Brother Zhu Zi, where's Brother Futaba? He said that my clothes are untidy and shameful. These people also untied their belts. Aren't they more shameful than me? Mao's words made the group of people want to find a hole to hide in. Not long after, Ewer came in from the outside. Beside her was a smiling Futaba. Today he had done the task given to him by Sister Ewer. Sister Ewer would definitely praise him when she sees these people. Futaba thought happily in his heart. You guys, who told you to tie them up like this? Ewer looked at the group of people tied up by her belt and asked Futaba, Deju, and the others. Several people's eyes all fell on Futaba. Suddenly, Futaba felt that something was wrong. Was it wrong to tie people up like this? Fortunately, the group of people didn't leave. Ewer gently shook her head and then said to Ao, You go and untie those women. Take the rest of the people to the back room. I guess Bad Guy will be here soon. Everything will wait for Brother Bad Guy to come. Almost an hour later, Guopai came back. He came back with a very unhappy face. Several people around him also looked helpless. Brother Bad Guy, how is it? Who is behind the scenes? Did you find out? 2 hours ago, we heard a sound transmission. It is very unfavorable for you and our medical center. Ewer was the first to feel that Guopai had returned. She walked out of the room and greeted him. There is no doubt that it was done by the great demon. However, I don't know how they managed to get hold of the 3 big sects in Huaxia. Shushan, Maoshan, and Kunlun. Those sects have at least tens of thousands of wuxio. They were directly wiped out. Not even one of them managed to escape to report. Guopai shook his head and said, Then what's going on with Wudong? Ewer asked softly. The great demon set a trap. A group of Zhang Sanfeng's disciples foolishly fell into it. Guopai said softly, There was news that several Wudang sects were wiped out. Didn't anyone come to find trouble with us in Bugyaku? Boss, they came to find trouble. However, it has already been solved. They are all in the side room. Futaba said. Looking at the expressions of the people behind Futaba, Guopai guessed that the matter was not as simple as Futaba said. Futaba, lead the way. I want to see how you guys solved it. Guopai said loudly. Futaba walked in front. Ewer could not help but stick out her tongue. Looking at the side room that was stuffed full of armaments that were tied up tightly, Guoshui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was solved really not bad. Hurry up and untie these people, Guopai said to Futaba and the people behind him. Futaba did not act immediately. Instead, he looked at Ewer. Ewer held back her laughter and nodded. After a while, the room was filled with people. Guopai looked at everyone with an apologetic expression. Guopai, what happened to Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Wudang? I want to hear from you. Although I just received a telepathic message, I don't believe that a country's doctor would do such a thing. Qi Zhanfeng looked at Guopai and said softly. Although it was embarrassing for him to be tied up, today's matter was definitely a misunderstanding. From a moment Guopao appeared, the 2 elders of Mount Chilian had already discovered some clues. If the 4 sects were destroyed, Guopao's current aura wouldn't be like this. There was no killing intent at all. So how could he have killed people? The world is going to be in chaos. Chapter 635. With these words, the world was going to be in chaos. The room full of Wu Xiu's complaints suddenly became silent. Guopai, what happened? Elders Feng and Yun asked softly. Guopai directly took out a crystal ball the size of a soccer ball from his hand, then placed 9 yin-yang twin-life jades around the crystal ball. Then, he said softly, and the group of people focused their attention on the crystal ball. Shu Mountain was empty, Mao Mountain was full of corpses, and Kunlun was full of corpses. Finally, Wudong sect leader Zhang Tianyang shouted at the 9-tone elephant flute. The group of people was stunned. My disciples' parents are in the Shu Mountain Medical Pagoda. 2 days ago, the sect leaders of the Shu Mountain Sword and Qi sects came to Bugyaku to find me. They said that something happened to Shu Mountain. Now little Han Wu, who is in the Shu Mountain Medical Pagoda, can testify. Early yesterday morning, I brought people from Bugyaku to Martial Emperor. The few strong auras that you felt that didn't dare to set off were our people from Bugyaku. That's right, Guopai said softly. After arriving at Shu Mountain, We found out that something had happened to Shu Mountain. My disciple also went to investigate the real culprit because of her parents. Of course, for the safety of my disciple, the people from Bugyaku and I chased in the direction of my disciple. When we found a trace of clues in the East Sea, she died. We rushed back to Shu Mountain again. When we arrived at Shu Mountain had already been destroyed and turned into the state in the crystal ball, Guopai said unhurriedly. I don't believe that there is someone in Huaxia who can turn Shu Mountain into this state overnight. Even your Tiandao sect doesn't have such ability, Qi Zhanyun said softly. This sentence directly cleared Guopai and the Tiandao sect's name. Guopao nodded his head gently. Although he could indeed wipe out Shushan overnight, now was not the time to be stubborn. What's going on with Mount Mountain? Someone asked softly. We don't know either. Following the clues from Mount Shu, when we arrived at Mount Mountain, there were corpses everywhere. There were no survivors, and from the wounds, we couldn't tell which sect did it. Guopai said softly. Let me talk about Kunlun. After Guopai finished speaking, Guotangyuan stood up and said softly. Although the little guy looked like he had not yet reached adulthood, but the voice just now made the people above the fasting stage not dare to look down on this young man in front of them because this young man was at least at the core formation stage. When we arrived at Kunlun, the situation in Kunming was the same as that of Mao Mountain. What surprised us the most was that the people from Kunlun died at the same time as that of Mao Mountain. This meant that there was a group of people who were so strong that even if Mao Mountain and Kunlun joined forces, they would still not be a match for them. Think about it. If these people were to deal with you, what are the chances of you being able to fight them? Are you stronger than Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Shu Mountain? After Guotangyuan finished speaking, he found a place to sit down. The four major Wuxiu sects in Huaxia, Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Wudong, 3 of them were destroyed in one day. If someone wanted to deal with them, it would be a piece of cake. Recently, there will be a lot of Wuxiu coming to Bugyaku to find my Tiandao sect. I don't have time to explain this matter one by one. I need your help. Helping my Tiandao sect is also helping yourselves. If you want to help, you can stay. If you want to stay out of it, Guopai will not stop you, Guopai said softly. Guopai, today we caused trouble in Bugyaku. It was our fault. We know that your Tiandao sect is strong. If you don't mind us, Qibing being weak, we will stay in the Tiandao sect to help you get through this disaster of Wuxiu in Huaxia. An old man in the fasting realm stood up and said softly, I need a lot of people now. No matter how strong they are, I want everyone to put on a show with me. Let's see if we can lure out the mastermind behind this, Guopai said softly as he thought of a plan. If Sect Master Guo doesn't mind, Feng Yun is willing to stay in the Tiandao sect to help. Qilian Shan and Feng Yun stood up and said. Following that, many people agreed to stay in Bugyaku. Of course, there were also people who chose to leave. Guopai gave a few words of advice to those who left and did not force them. Brother Bad Guy, Huaxia and Wuxiu's strength has improved so quickly. It is all thanks to you. Think about it. The Imperial Capital Auction House has a large-scale auction every month. Every month, you gave Sister Lu Yin so many pills. In the end, most of those pills ended up in the hands of Huaxia and Wuxiu. Naturally, their strength improved very quickly, Yuer said with a smile. Nearly 10,000 Wuxiu, more than 1,000 Wuxiu who had reached the fasting realm, and more than 5,000 Wuxiu who had reached the enlightening realm. This kind of lineup was even more powerful than the 4 great sects of Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Wudong. Daju, go and call Gu Yin over, Guopai said to Daju with a smile. The more people, the better. The great demon had his own plans, and Guopai had his own plans. If they could succeed this time, Guopai was confident that he could make the great demon behind the scenes pay a heavy price. Dragon King, I am Guopai. You all know about what happened a few days ago. Remember, set up a formation on Mount Baolong. If anyone dares to barge into Mount Baolong, use the teleportation formation I left on Mount Baolong to come to Bugyaku. Don't resist. Guopai called Xiao Wudi. Naturally, Xiao Wudi also knew about the matter of Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, and Kunlun. He was waiting for Guopai's call. Little bad, the old man is not good. You all have to be careful in Bugyaku. If it really doesn't work out, I will send 4 members of the dragon group to Bugyaku. There's nothing big on Mount Baolong, Xiao Wudi said softly. Guopai rejected Xiao Wudi's idea of increasing the number of members in Bugyaku. This should be enough for that dog fart banished immortal to be busy. This is just the beginning. To deal with a small Tiandao sect like yours, I don't even need to do anything. Huaxia and Wuxiu can cripple your Tiandao sect with just a mouthful of saliva. When the time comes, I will go and meet you, little banished immortal, In the depths of the eastern sea, the lustful demon laughed. Ever since the matter of Shu Mountain, the news of Bugyaku being besieged had reached his ears. It was very comfortable. In recent years, he had been suppressed by Guopai in various ways. It had been a long time since he was so happy. My lord, there is news from the mainland. Because of the matter of Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, and Kunlun, Wudong has contacted Wuxiu. 3 days later, they will kill Guopai and the remaining members of the Tiandao sect at the top of the formless mountain. Should we go and take a look? A black-clothed man walked to the lustful demon and asked with a smile. Yes, I have to go. If they don't fight, I can add fuel to the fire. If they fight, I can clean up the scene after the fight. What do they call me? Yes, I'm a living lay foam. I'm a living lay foam. Chapter 636. Because of Zhang Tianyang's words, Bugyaku had indeed brought quite a bit of trouble. All the Wuxiu from Huaxia, and even the rogue cultivators from overseas, appeared in the imperial capital one after another. From the outside, the atmosphere in the imperial capital was indeed very tense. Sect Leader Gua, you kindly went to our Wudang, but I brought so much trouble to the Tiandao sect. Zhang Tianyang has let you down. In the backyard of Bugyaku, Zhang Tianyang, the sect leader of Wudang, said to Guopai with an apologetic expression, If I was the sect leader of Wudang that day, I probably wouldn't have been able to suppress the fire. However, things have already come to this. If we can find a mastermind this time, it could be considered as revenge for Shu Mountain, Mao Mountain, and Kunlun. Guopai said with a smile, Sect Leader Gua, if we can find a mastermind, the people of Wudang will be at your disposal. Zhang Tianyang patted his chest and said. The group of rogue cultivators also nodded. Everyone in the outside world knew that there were many people in strange clothes going into Bugyaku every day. Every time someone came out of Bugyaku, they would either curse or smash things. In any case, the days in Bugyaku were not easy. Cough, cough, Emperor Jia, the stone lion at our door has been knocked down more than 130 times. Fortunately, our stone lion is sturdy, otherwise it would have been broken. Chao Qinkuan said softly as he watched Zhu and Kong Fei lift the stone lion up again. Boss, how long do we have to continue acting? The two of us don't do anything but lift the stone lion here every day. Zhu walked to the back door of Bugyaku and said softly, Soon, I reckon the mastermind has already taken the bait. I wonder how Uncle Shui and the others are doing at Non-Phase Mountain. I'm really looking forward to it. Guopai said with a smile. Then, he heard a rumbling sound outside the door. Without thinking, he knew that the stone lion had been knocked down by the rogue cultivators again. Guopai brat, listen up. 3 days later, we will wait for you at Non-Phase Mountain. If you don't dare to come, we will wash the Tiandao sect with blood. After an old man finished speaking, he left Bugyaku angrily. While the imperial capital was in chaos in Bugyaku, Shui Yunzi and the 4 experts of the Dragon Clan were busy at Non-Phase Mountain. This time, Guopai had put in a lot of effort. Of Huaxia. Guopai. This time, he prepared to bring the rogue cultivators of Huaxia to face the great demon. In 3 days, Kai Tianyang already knew about the matter of Bugyaku. He called Guopai and asked if the country needed to step in. Guopai directly refused. He only asked that the matter of Bugyaku not be disclosed to the media to avoid any trouble. Kai Tianyang naturally knew. Although he didn't know much about the matters of Huaxia and Wuxiu, He more or less knew that these people couldn't be restricted by the laws of Huaxia. Guo Pai said that he didn't need to care about it, and Kai Tianyang didn't ask much. However, the imperial capital had already issued a strict order that no media could report anything about Bugyaku. Boss, today is the last day. When are we going to Non-Phase Mountain? Shuedaiju looked at Guo Pai, who was still fiddling with the pills in his hand, and couldn't help but ask. Don't go. Stay in Bugyaku. If there's anything, tell you immediately. I'll take junior brother Tong Yuan and Xin Yuan how there. Guo Pai said with a smile. We're in the open. The enemy is in the dark. Nothing can happen to Bugyaku. Shuedaiju nodded and didn't ask much. The nearly 10,000 Wuxiu who were originally staying in the Gu clan and Bugyaku had all been sent to Non-Phase Mountain. At this time, Non-Phase Mountain was already lively. Many high-level officials in the imperial capital could see that there were spots of fire on Non-Phase Mountain. This made the imperial capital's fire department's phone almost explode with calls. Let's go, Guo Pai said to Yu with a smile. I'll leave the family to you. In theory, they won't attack Bugyaku, but it's better to be careful. You should also be careful. I don't know which of the Demon Lord's sons is the mastermind this time. Maybe it's a few guys who have joined forces to deal with the martial cultivators of the mortal world. You must be careful. Yu warned him again. Then, she pulled out the two little guys who were dressed strangely. You don't have to worry about Xiao Mengmeng and Ling Mo. Their strength has been sealed by me. These two little guys actually wanted to go to Non-Phase Mountain to watch the fun. Fortunately, I found out early. Yu said with a smile. Guo Pai looked at the two little girls pouting and couldn't help laughing. Stay at home. If you want to find someone to fight, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Guo Pai finished speaking and flew towards Non-Phase Mountain with Guotong Yuan and Xin Yuan Hao on his sword. Just as Guo Pai was flying towards Non-Phase Mountain from Bugyaku, the lustful demon's clone had already arrived at Non-Phase Mountain with 8 golden core stage demon soldiers under the Pacific Ocean. They mixed in with the crowd and were ready to watch the fun. When Guo Pai and the other two arrived at Non-Phase Mountain, the entire Non-Phase Mountain became lively again. Thinking about it, 10,000 Wuxiu gathered at Non-Phase Mountain. This kind of pressure was absolutely terrifying. Guo Pai brat, you actually dare to come. If you can't explain the matter of Shu Shan, Mao Shan, and Kunlun clearly today, don't blame us for not remembering your contributions to Huaxia. An old man said loudly to Guo Pai. Are you guys stupid? Shu Shan, Mao Shan, and Kunlun are Huaxia and Wuxiu's bulls. Do you think that our Tiandao sect can quietly exterminate them? Guo Pai said with a smile. Who knows what methods your Tiandao sect used? Now, Wudong's sect leader Zhang is here, a witness. Before and after the incident of Shu Shan, Mao Shan, and Kunlun, only your Tiandao sect's people appeared. What do you have to say? The old man continued to ask. Then what do you want? Do you think that you can deal with me with numbers? Guo Pai said with a fearless look and said with a smile, my Tiandao sect's people appeared, and you said that it was done by me. If I'm here now and something happens to your sect, will it not be done by me? Guo Pai, you dare? If you dare to let the people of Tiandao sect cause trouble in our sect now, we will definitely make your Tiandao sect restless. Several old men said loudly. You haven't let our Tiandao sect have a good time now. Guo Pai said with a smile. I already know your origins very well. Wudong, Chilean Mountain, Fengyang Mountain, Shaolin, Amei, Kongtong, and a group of row cultivators. Let's wait and see. Don't waste everyone's time. If you want to make a move, do it quickly. If no one dares to, this young master will go back and sleep with his wife. There's so many of us. Are we afraid of a single Tiandao sect? Let's attack together. I don't believe that just the 3 of them can beat so many of us. A voice came from the crowd. Then, several people echoed. Guo Pai was about to leave, but his gaze fell on the person who had just spoken. May I know who you are? Guo Pai asked with a smile. I'm a rogue cultivator from overseas. You don't need to know who I am. Your Tiandao sect first slaughtered Shu Mountain, then destroyed Mao Mountain, Kunlun, and Wudong. Now, even chickens and dogs are restless. Wuxiu of the world should be killed by everyone in your Tiandao sect. The old man said loudly. Guopai walked towards the old man step by step. The people who had echoed just now also walked towards the old man. The originally lively crowd suddenly quieted down. Guopai was laughing. The onlookers were laughing. Only the old man and a few people who had echoed just now could not laugh. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.